We good to go? Okay. Yeah, I just want to kick things off here and say I think we're excited for the start of the season with training camp right around the corner. Feel like we've had a good, productive offseason. Made it through the job here for a few months since I was last up here, and still here and have the job, so I haven't messed it up too much. But no, we feel good with where our team's at, with where our roster's at. We'll add a few more players over the next few days to invite to camp. And then, from there, we'll see what we have. I think it'll be a good competitive training camp with some positions and some playing time up for grabs. And we really want to focus on getting off to a good start this season. So, I think our players have been in the gym throughout the summer. Good young development program we have going. And our veterans are starting to trickle back in now. So I just think we're in a good place mentally, physically, healthy going into camp, and looking forward to a great season. Any questions to open it up?
Yeah. Hi, good to see you.
You too.
When it comes to that open roster spot and the guys that you're going to be, bringing in and having in training camp, what are some characteristics that you think is important to fill that 15th spot with?
Yeah, I think, we got two spots, 14 and 15. We don't have to use them both, but we're open to it. And I think from that standpoint, if there was a positional need or something that we absolutely needed, I think maybe we've already pursued and committed to that. The nice thing is I think we have good versatility and optionality throughout the roster, so nothing that we absolutely have to do right now. We're bringing in a mix of different players that we think can do some different things, and we'll evaluate in camp. But I don't think we have our sights set on any one thing right now in terms of a guard, a big, a wing, a young player, an old player. We're kind of open, and I think that's a great position to be in, where we have flexibility and can kind of evaluate to see what's the best for our team.
Mike, can you characterize the discussions with Dwight Howard and what led to a yes/no decision on him there?
Yeah, I would just say in general, like we brought maybe 40 or 50 guys in this summer to get a further look at. Knowing agents and people around the league knowing we've got 2 roster spots open. So there's a desire to come in and meet with us and play with our guys. And we've looked at a lot of different players, and some of them we'll bring into camp. But, the player you mentioned is just one of many that we brought in and evaluated. And, I think right now you'll know more about who we're inviting to camp in a couple days. But overall, we feel good about what we've done this summer, and we'll keep our options open in terms of who we need to add.
Mike, what are your thoughts on Kuminga and Moody entering their 3rd season, and how do you feel like adding a veteran like Chris Paul can aid their development?
Yeah, I feel great about those guys. They both had really good summers, and they've been around here some, and they've been elsewhere where they're getting good work in. So we're excited for them to see what they can do in year 3. I think there'll be some more opportunity and playing time available. And as you mentioned with Chris, adding him into the mix, as well as Cory Joseph, even Dario Saric, I think all those guys can really complement and help our younger players with the way they play, their experience, their maturity. So, we're excited and optimistic about what JK and Moses can do in year 3 here.
Obviously, the season hasn't even fully started yet, but both Klay and Steve are entering like the final years of their contracts. How have those discussions begun? How important, or is it important to get it going earlier, or just table that later time?
Yeah, no. So with those guys, the main thing is it's good is on both sides. I think there's a desire to extend or be back, or make sure those guys are in the fold with the Golden State Warriors moving forward. So I think both sides feel that way, and when you're working off of that idea, I think you can come to a deal. And so hopefully we can do that. In those scenarios, there's no real specific timeline in the immediate future that we have to abide by. So we'll continue to have conversations, but the main goal is to secure those guys moving forward. And I think they feel a little bit of the same, but we're optimistic, and I think we're in a good place there.
Mike, obviously, Steve and your predecessor had a very tight relationship. Now that you've stepped into the role, how's your relationship with Steve changed? You had one before, but I imagine it's a lot more time together now.
Yeah, I think it helps for myself being around here the last few years, getting to know Steve getting to know me a little bit. And, obviously our communication and touch points have ramped up now with this promotion. But overall, I have a great relationship with Steve, a ton of success that he's brought this way. And, I'll probably lean on him in a lot of ways. He's had this position before as a general manager, so he definitely can provide some great insight, and he already has. And I'll continue to help and support him in any way I can.
Mike, to your earlier point, why specifically are you comfortable with the potential center rotation, and why do you feel like maybe size is a little bit overblown? The need for size is a little bit overblown.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get into camp and see a little bit about our needs. I'm not fully committed to say we're good at that position, but I know for camp we are. We've got 5 guys that can play center in training camp. To me, it's a position that you can't play multiple of them so I want to make sure everybody gets enough reps. And I think that's been our discussion with the coaching staff as well. And I think that's the path we'll head down. From there, again, we've got to evaluate it. And I think with us, we have to be very careful about the types of players we bring in. Just because a guy is tall, or just because a guy can shoot, or just because a guy is athletic, doesn't necessarily mean they can fit in the way we play. And so we got to be very mindful of that, and we'll continue to do so. But I like the 5 guys we can play at center right now. I think they all fit well with how Steve wants to play, and looking forward to evaluating over the next few weeks.
Mike, you mentioned a couple times, and Steve's mentioned that Chris Paul's role, starter or bench, will be determined in training camp. But what are some of the determining factors that you're looking for in training camp that will decide that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people's roles will be determined in camp, not just Chris, but a little bit of your question probably defer to Steve on. I'll chat with him on it. He'll bounce things off our way as a front office, but ultimately you get into camp and you get lineups together and you start thinking through the season. That's a coaching thing, and so totally defer to him on that. And I just know we've got a pretty good roster. And when you talk about Chris and the 5 starters that we had last year, who when they played were great, I think we got good optionality.
Hey, Mike, as we look at the open roster spots, what's the confidence level knowing that you should have a full season now of Gary Payton II back in the fold and Andrew Wiggins as well, just kind of that automatic boost early on?
Yeah, I mean, we're confident in it. I mean, those guys have put in good time this summer. Their bodies, their health's in good shape, but, injuries happen. And so you want to have the right amount of depth and backup and all that stuff. But, yeah, knock on wood right now, we feel great about where those guys are at, the rest of the guys on our roster, both physically, mentally. So, we're in a good place here end of September.
How much have your veterans been around or been meeting, I guess, elsewhere together? How much has Chris been involved in that? And what are you seeing right now as far as how ready and hungry, your veterans seem to be?
Yeah, I've seen a great amount of connectivity this offseason, whether they're meeting up in areas in, Southern California or Las Vegas, what have you. Not only that, there's some times in August where we had our young guys in, and Steph was in. Chris Paul took a Southwest flight at 6 a.m. to be up here for a workout one day. So these guys are all in on making it work and us having a great season. So really, like I said, I really feel good with where we're at in September, and got a ton of work to do, but I think the foundation is in a good place right now.
You mentioned connection or connectivity a lot last few months when you got the job, other times. How much has that been an emphasis from you guys to them, or has that been you and Steph and everybody? How much has that work come up, and how many things, you mentioned a few examples of it, how much have you seen that happen leading up to camp?
Yeah, it's been huge. I mean, I think not only with the players, but the coaching staff, the front office, we're all sort of talking about it and preaching it, and kind of lost a little bit of that last year. And I think the players, you almost haven't really had to say much to them about it. They got it. They know we were a little discombobulated, especially as the season went on last year, and everybody knows that we need to correct it, and I think we've made the right steps this summer, and we'll continue to need to build through camp. But we're in a good place in that area, but it doesn't just, you got to keep it going.
When CP3 flew out here, who was the workout with? Was it with Steph and Draymond, all those?
Yeah,
guys?
we just had our guys are in the gym a lot this summer playing pickup, and we had a pickup game. Steph is in a decent amount, but he's got a busy schedule in the off season, and so it was a day where Steph knew he was coming in. Chris, being in his off season home in LA, made the effort to get up here, and that's the one thing about Chris. I mean, he loves to play, and so it means getting on a flight early in the morning to get up here and get a game in. Got to respect the guy.
Mike, where do things stand right now with Klay Thompson and just your desire to get an extension for him and get him more aligned with Steph Curry's remaining years and now Draymond Green's remaining years?
Yeah, that's really important to us, to keep Klay in the fold. He provides an element that's so unique to this team, and he knows the ins and outs. He's been here as long as anybody, so continuing Klay's career here as a Warrior is really important to us. I think last year he showed, for the most part, he can really still play at a high level. And in some ways, I think missing 2 full seasons, you maybe make up a little bit on the back end. And I think he's primed to have a really good kind of mid-30s career. And I know he's put a ton of time in this offseason, so excited for the year he's got ahead of him.
Klay last offseason kind of talked about the mental hurdle that he was facing where he wasn't playing pickup, et cetera. And now we know that this offseason we've seen him in some of these workout videos doing pickup. From your perspective, player-wise, and now in your role now, how important is that to see him get those reps, be back in pickup mentally as well?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I haven't been there myself. As you get older, the offseason has become even more important. You got to find a way to keep yourself in shape, in the mix, so when training camp comes around, you're ready to go. And I think for Klay, it's been tough the last few years with his injuries. He's doing a lot of rehab, and you get to the point where it's like, all right, I'm sure he got through our championship season, and just it was in some ways just like a reset and a letdown. And I think last summer was tough for him, but I think this summer he's been a totally different animal and really engaged on it. And like I said, in a great place right now to kick off the season.
Like you mentioned, training camp and the competition that you want to see in that. Is that something that's just a circumstance of having 2 roster spots open, so let's just see who we got? Or is it something that you and Steve and the rest of the guys want to establish kind of a tone for the season, get a little more sweat in at the beginning of the year to kind of get the tires a little bit of tread?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, certainly with the roster spots, so you got some stuff to figure out in terms of who you want on the team, but also – I think with last year, you're coming off a championship. The summer is shorter. We started camp early because we had to go to Japan. It was just such a whirlwind, such a quick turnaround. Now we've had some time to sort of get a good summer underneath us, re-energize, and, we'll kick off camp at kind of the normal time of year, actually a little bit later this year, starting in early October. And it just feels like the summer's gone on long enough. It's time to get going again, and that's what we're looking forward to.
How do you think you guys will handle this new rest policy that the league is trying to implement?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the parameters are, based around a lot of our stuff in terms of back-to-backs, national TV games, and having 4 players that sort of qualify under the load management rest policy. And, look, the league makes the rules. We'll play by them. That's the best I can say. I do know that, we have a tremendous amount of data and science and input from our players in terms of how much they should be playing, how much they shouldn't be playing, and we've always leaned on that in the past. We'll continue to lean on it, but we've got to play by the rules too.
Just going back to Kuminga and Moody, and just how do you feel about the overall depth that you have? And I think you referenced opportunities for them to play. Is it at a point now where you just, in your mind, hey, they have to be a part of it on a night in, night out basis, which hasn't always been the case?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about have to or any mandates as far as those guys go, but I also think they're probably more ready. And you always want to get these guys minutes early in their career, and year 1, year 2, and we've talked about a lot of that the last few years, but like year 3, these guys are older now. They know our system. They're more mature. I think our veterans, our coaches trust them more. So I think there realistically will be much more of an opportunity for them to play. But that being said, we've got a good team. We've got good depth. There's no guarantees. But I as far as those guys go, I think they're in a good place.
I'll just start out before we get to questions, saying how excited I am about this season. I'm coming off of a really productive summer for the team here at Chase. So many of the guys have been around working with our players. Our staff's been fantastic. The players have really bonded and connected, and they've been working hard. And I think everybody's really excited for the season. So a lot to look forward to, and obviously getting started a week from now. So here we go.
Your contract is obviously going to be kind of an early season topic. What is your Where is that at from your perspective, your contract, and would you be comfortable coaching the season on an expiring deal?
Yeah, I feel great about my position here, and I want to be here. I know Mike and Joe want me here, and so I'm very confident something will get done, but I'm not stressed about it at all. And, I'm perfectly capable of, coaching, whether I have 1 year left or an extension makes no difference. So, but I fully expect to be here.
Mike was talking about the connectivity that he's already seen this summer, especially with somebody like Chris Paul, brought up him leaving for a 6 a.m. flight to come to a workout. What's been your perspective of Chris this offseason as far as really trying to ingrain himself with everybody?
I really like Chris because he likes phone calls and not texts. So Chris is old school. He wants to talk, and we've had 4 or 5 great conversations this summer. One of the I remember a few years ago pulling him aside after Phoenix beat us in Phoenix, and I told him how much I admired him and his competitiveness and just his basketball intelligence. It's obviously we've had a lot of battles over the years. We did have one game together, the 2015 All-Star game, and I remember him taking over the game in the last 5 minutes, and our team won. And that's that guy would be fun to coach, and so I'm thrilled to coach him. He's one of the great competitors I've ever seen. His command of the game, the way he controls the action, his teams tend to get a great shot, possession after possession after possession. And he understands what wins. So I'm really excited to coach Chris, and I know he's really excited to be here.
The NBA just recently passed new rules regarding resting star players. How do you think that's going to impact managing the workloads of your star players this season?
Yeah, I don't think it'll impact anything. I think we have a great relationship with the league and a great respect for the rules that are in place, and we understand, we are trying to entertain basketball fans everywhere. That's the business. Putting on a good product, putting on a good show for our fans, and giving fans the opportunity to come out and see our guys play. And injuries are a part of the game, and there are going to be games where guys are going to miss. But we plan on complying with the league's rules and giving NBA fans everywhere as much opportunity to see our guys as possible.
Steve, Mike used the word connectivity, which is exactly the same word you used about the lack of it the last time you were sitting there. I'm just wondering how much of the emphasis this summer came from you guys saying, please get connectivity with each other, or how much of it was organic and coming from the players?
Well, I think it's a combination, and my job as a coach is to help them connect. And I think last time I talked to you, I think I probably said that I didn't think I did the job well last year. And I think a big part of my job this year is to get the team connected. But that's a season-long process. I think Mike Dunleavy and his staff did a great job this summer of putting together a roster that should connect well on and off the floor. I think sometimes losing gives you some clarity. I think I probably said that at the end of the year too, and I really believe that. A year ago we came in off a championship and let our guard down a little bit, frankly. And it's human nature, but it's sort of the way things work. And so when you lose in the second round and you feel like you've had a disappointing year, it's a lot easier to come in and be focused. It's a lot easier for me to come in as a coach and be more demanding. And I think the players will expect that too.
Steve, you and Bob had this from the outside very enviable relationship between front office and coach. How is your connectivity with Mike Dunleavy so far this summer?
Yeah, I mean, Bob and I remain very close. We talk all the time. I think I could not ask for a better new partner than Mike, given that Mike and Bob are best friends, and Bob is one of the best GMs in the business, as we know, and has been for a decade, and he was able to groom Mike over the last few years. So there couldn't be a better situation for me. Mike and I have gotten close. We've spent a lot of time together. We have a lot of shared values in terms of what we think wins, what kind of player, what kind of team. And so we're on the same page, and we really enjoy being around one another, and I anticipate this being a great relationship and partnership.
Steve, how are you feeling about the center rotation, entering training camp right now? And I know you don't necessarily place a huge emphasis on size. Could you kind of reiterate your feelings about that?
Well, first of all, I'm very comfortable. I think signing Dario was huge for our team. He is really the kind of player that fits us well. A little bit like Bielitsa a couple of years ago. He's a different player than Belly, but there's a similar style in terms of his ability to connect the game with shooting and passing and awareness, court awareness. Dario's bigger than Belly. He's a very physical player, but he's going to fit us well either as a 5 or playing in a 2-big lineup as well. So I think his addition really made all of us feel very comfortable going into camp at that spot. And then I think the addition of Usman to the two-way spot was a really nice pickup as well. He's a young player who's got some of the qualities that Draymond and Loon have. He's not going to wow you with athleticism, but strength, awareness, length, ability to guard multiple positions. Usman is a good player, and I think we're excited to be able to add him to that rotation as well.
You obviously have your established starting lineup, and you have Chris coming in. Have you thought any more or made any decisions based on starting lineup?
Yeah, we basically have 6 starters. The way I look at it, and only 5 can go each night. So I haven't decided yet what we're going to do. I want to see training camp. We're going to try different combinations and take a look. Obviously, all 6 guys are going to play a lot of minutes for us. But if this is going to work, then everybody has to embrace it, regardless of who's starting and who's not. It only works if the whole team buys in. And I know these guys well. I know 5 of them really well, and I'm getting to know Chris. And one thing I know about all of them is they want to win more than anything. They're an incredibly competitive group, and I'm very confident that we'll figure it out, and the guys will buy in and find a way.
There's obviously various combinations you could go to, but how comfortable are you with, I guess you would consider kind of like the hyper small lineup? That it would be Chris, Steph, Klay, Andrew, and Draymond. Yeah,
we'll look at that for sure in camp and exhibition games and see what that looks like. It's hard to imagine that wouldn't click pretty well, given that you've got a lot of talent and versatility and scoring on the floor. I think that lineup, putting Loon on the floor at the 5, you could do as well. With four smaller guys and Loon at center. But as you know, we've started Loon and Draymond together for years. They're a great combination. Probably one of the few 4 or 5 combinations in the league that is unique like that in terms of more screening than shooting. Most people are throwing 4 shooters out there. We're still throwing 2 bigs out there, and it's worked well. But we've always had the change-up of going small. So we're going to look at all that.
Steve, can you comment on your experience this summer with USA Basketball and just being the head coach of a team that's not the Warriors for the first time? Is there anything you take away from that experience that you learned about yourself or that you're going to bring into this season that's going to make you any different?
Yeah, that's one of the best aspects of being part USA basketball is there's so much to learn, so much that's different with the game, with the FIBA game, with the experience itself. Coaching a team that's only together for 6 weeks, coaching with an entirely different staff. It was an amazing experience, and no regrets. Obviously, we were disappointed that we didn't win, but the guys were fantastic. Nobody ever complained about playing time. Everybody was all in. They committed to the goal. They worked like crazy. Staff was amazing. The support from Grant Hill, Sean Ford, Jim Tooley. It's really, USA Basketball is a special organization. So great honor to be the coach, and very proud of the effort that the guys put in. And I absolutely learned a ton from Spo, from Mark Few, from Ty Lue. Those guys are incredible coaches, and it's one of the best parts of the experience is just collaborating and gathering each day to discuss the team, and you definitely get ideas from each other, and some of those I'll for sure bring back.
Hey, Steve. Last year, you guys got off to a slow start and were struggling on the road. Just looking at the schedule, how much of an opportunity do you see the first few months you have, where you're a lot at home, a lot on the Pacific time zone? How much of an opportunity do you think that will be, and how much urgency do you have at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I think I never paid too close attention to the schedule, because it is what it is. There's just you're going to play 41 at home, 41 on the road, and you just go take it a week at a time. I do think we need to have a good training camp. I think it's imperative that we get off to a better start this year, not just in terms of our record, but in terms of our preparation. I think it'll be, frankly, very helpful that we're not going overseas, that we'll be here. We'll have a really good extended time to practice and work and prepare. And ultimately, last year we weren't good enough defensively at the start of the season, and that's why we went 0-5 on that early road trip. So we've got to make sure we're defending at a high level, by the time the season starts, and so that we can win, at home and on the road.
Steve, defensively, theoretically, you should have Gary Payton II for a full season, the start of the season. Same thing with having Andrew Wiggins for a full season. What's that confidence-wise, the boost to have those guys for a full season again?
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, we know what we're capable of defensively, given the guys who have done it already. 2 years ago, we were, I think, a top 5 defensive team, if I'm not mistaken, second to Boston, I believe. So getting Gary back, being able to start the season with him is a big boost. And knock on wood, hopefully we stay healthy. But I think the defensive end is where it has to start. I mean, on the road last year, I think we were, close to dead last, if not dead last, then right there. And on the road, it was a bizarre season in terms of the numbers. A lot of people talked about it being flukish, but I believe that when a team is not well connected, then the road is where that lack of connection will show. And I think that's what happened last year, and that's why I'm going to really keep talking about this connection and the fact that we've got to bond and come together right away to get off to that good start.
And then with Trayce, can you just kind of talk about the importance of 4 years college, 124 games, I believe it was, to come into a system like that as a rookie? And what part of his game do you think that can maybe be expanded coming in the NBA as a double-double guy like he was at Indiana?
Yeah, Trayce is an impressive young prospect. You don't see that kind of college experience very often anymore, but you immediately recognize the experience level and the advantage that gives him. What I like about Trayce, he plays the way we like to play. He's a good passer, dribble handoff guy at the top of the key, good screener. Gives us a lob threat that we don't otherwise have, which is a really nice addition. And I think he's just he's the kind of guy who feels the game well. He's got good feel for passing, cutting, movement, and a lot of the stuff that we already run, he runs really well. So Trayce is a really intriguing prospect, and it'll be fun to watch him play.
Steve, with Kuminga, you've last year spoke of him as almost exclusively as a 4 in your rotation where you play him. Do you still view it that way given the way this roster is composed? And has there been maybe a little bit of a pull between the things you and the coaching staff want him to do to get on the floor and get minutes and maybe the things that he wants to do just in growing his own game as a young player, the young dynamic player?
Well, I'm excited about JK. He's had a really good summer. I was getting reports routinely when I was overseas, and the coaches were all raving about him, saying, that he's really worked hard and understood, what's needed from him. I think it'll be very helpful for him to play with Chris Paul. Chris has a way of making the game easier for people, and I anticipate them spending some time on the court together, and Chris helping to unlock some of that potential. Otherwise, JK's he's in his third year and getting better and working hard, and he's right on track to get where he needs to go. So I'm excited.
Do you feel more still as a 4 versus a 3, or does that even matter?
Well, I look at the combinations, and I think, one thing that happened last year, we didn't have a shooting big last year. So the year before, we had Otto Porter and Belly. You could definitely play JK with a shooting big, but it's tougher to play him last year with Draymond and Loon. You just don't get the spacing that you would optimally like to have. So I think we have more possibilities this year with Dario because of Dario's ability to pass and space the floor as a big. I think that can open things up for everybody.
Steve, probably not on the top of your mind, but first night of the season, Kevin Durant comes back here. It'll be the first time he gets to play in front of fans. What kind of reception do you think he'll get?
Oh, I think the fans will give Kevin the reception he deserves. Someone who was Finals MVP and played a huge role in hanging 2 banners in this building. It's been so strange that here we are 4 years later, and he still hasn't had the chance to play in front of our fans. We've obviously gone against him several times. But the gyms have been either empty or cheering for his side. So it'll be great to get him back at Chase and in front of our home fans, and he deserves that ovation that our fans will give him that night.
What's up, Brandon? CJ Holmes, San Francisco Chronicle. How has your off season looked post summer league, and how'd you spend that time?
Yeah, I think I spent a couple weeks reflecting on my summer league performances. Obviously, not the best in terms of my standards, but I've gotten way better since summer league, and I think a lot of people can attest to that. But just learning from the vets that have been around, just little things that I can add to my game.
Tim Kawakami, The Athletic, you mentioned it. Obviously, shooting percentage wasn't fantastic. You've thought about, many people have struggled shooting in their first summer league or any action. Have you just figured out or kind of deduced what was going on there with the shot?
Yeah, I figured it out. I talked to Steph about it, and, he kind of shot poorly his first year in summer league too. But, it's just kind of how you bounce back from it. I know I'm a good shooter. I shot 44% from 3 last year over a course of more games than just summer league. So I know I'll be better, and I'll bounce back from it.
What did he just generally say anything, or just maybe you tend to rush a little bit when in your first?
Just some tips. I don't want to share those, but just some tips.
How have the practices, scrimmages, whatever you want to call them, with the vets been, and what have you taken from them?
Yeah, they've been really well. I think every time I step on the floor, I feel like I belong more and more now. Just getting accustomed to playing with them, I think the way I play is similar to how they've always played, so me adjusting to terminology and play style hasn't been an issue at all.
Positionally, how do you kind of view yourself, especially early in your career on this roster? Like 1, 2, 3 range.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care, honestly. I'll play 1 through 5 if I have to. It's kind of just how do I get on the floor as a rookie. So my mindset is just kind of open to everything, however I can impact the team.
Were you here the day Chris Paul worked out with the team?
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, you've got Steph and you've got CP3 and other guy. What's it like to be on the floor and playing ball against those guys?
Yeah, it just shows you how blessed of a situation I've been put into. Just being 20 years old and them guys have 13 to 15 years under their belt already. Just learning from them every day is something that is truly a blessing for me.
Hey, Brandon. Colin Ward-Henninger, CBS Sports. You seem like a very confident guy. What's the balance between wanting to go out there, show everybody what you can do, but also needing to fit into a team that's got an established culture and leadership?
Yeah, I mean, it's just understanding your role as a rookie. I mean, you haven't done anything here. Everything that's led up to this point kind of wipes itself out, and you start over new. So just being able to, respect what's ahead of you, but also have confidence in your own abilities and yourself when you go out there. I think just trying to have that even balance is something that good rookies do well.
Ron Barr, Sports Byline. When you take a look at Steve Kerr's system, you're a rookie, you come into it. What are the elements that are most challenging for you to get under control and to feel comfortable with?
Yeah, I think just knowing my spots and knowing my role, I think, look at Santa Clara last year. My role last year compared to now is, completely opposite. But I think, as a basketball player, that's your job to be able to adapt. And I think Coach Kerr does a great job of letting you know what your role is from the start, so there's no really confusion. So I'm just ready for any challenge that he brings my way.
Thank you.
All right, fire away. Again, raise your hand, name, and affiliation. What have Anthony Slater with The Athletic? How are you? What have the last couple months been post summer league for you? And I know you guys have been working out plenty here and doing kind of team workouts. What have those been like for you?
It's been really good. Just being in the area, being able to get on a routine, being with some of the guys, some of the summer league guys, Brandon, and just getting work in, honestly, coming in every day, Monday through Friday, getting lifts, conditioning and stuff like that, trying to prepare for the season. But we've got the rest of the guys, the vets, came in the last 3 weeks. So getting to play with them as well has been really, really good. We've had a few mini camps, and so just trying to bond with the guys and get ready for the season.
Trayce, Tim Kawakami, The Athletic. There aren't a ton of veteran centers that's been noted on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's early. I know you haven't been in even official practice, but do you have a sense that maybe you can get some playing time? I mean, do you feel like you can step on the court game one and maybe play a little in this league?
Absolutely. You have to have high confidence in yourself. We got a lot of good players on our team. We got two really, really good bigs, and Dario and Kevon. And so just getting to learn from them, them teaching me what I need to do, and then doing whatever I have to do to help the team win. That's what I'm going to try to do, and that's what I'm going to prepare for.
Hey, Trayce. Colin Ward-Henninger, CBS Sports. Good to see another hyphenated name in the league. Always looking out for those.
Absolutely.
Coming into the league, there's kind of an emphasis on guys really knowing their role and specialization. Do you have an idea of what your role is going to be for this team?
Yeah, I'm gonna screen for some of the best shooters in the world, and I'm gonna get rebounds. I'm gonna try to be a lob threat, and I'm gonna try to bring energy. And those are things that are very valuable on the basketball court. And I'm going to try to do that role the best of my position. When I was at Indiana, I kind of did similar things. Obviously, I had a little bit more of a burden on myself being the best player, but now I get to take a step back and try a different role. And I've always been a very big team guy, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Sounds like you've scrimmaged plenty with some of the veterans. What are kind of your early impressions playing, I guess, against them, but also I assume kind of mixed into their teams?
It's different. Definitely a faster pace. Just the way that they can get to their shots, shoot the ball, how fast it is up and down. But being able to be here for 2 months, 3 months, and learn that speed, learn that pace, getting in and out of your screens and stuff of that nature, it's been huge. And I think it's been very valuable and key to some of my, not really success, but some of my training and helping me. And so I think it's been a huge piece playing against them.
Hey, Trayce, Dalton Johnson, NBC Sports Bay Area. How important was it having that final season at Indiana, especially under a former NBA coach like Mike Woodson?
It was great. Coach Woodson, especially my senior year, me and him had a lot of talks about me, the pros and cons of me going after my junior year and staying in my senior year. And the biggest thing that he told me, he said there's not a lot of difference between going at 22 and 23 and getting that last year under my belt, tuning up some things in my game, passing, reading double teams and stuff of that nature, reading and getting a feel for the game, and then on the defensive end of the floor, being able to switch out, blocking shots and doing stuff of that nature. I thought it really elevated my game, not only my game, but my confidence. And I think it really helped. And then getting drafted to a team like this and being in this position and playing with these guys, I think is going to really help as well.
Thank you.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. How did it kind of come together? I know I would say actually just take me through your whole summer, because obviously getting traded a couple times, cut, and just how did it come together to land with the Warriors?
Yeah, I got traded to, first of all, I went to ATL, never been there. Then I got traded to OKC, never been there. And then I got waived after. And it was a really long summer for me, honestly. But, I'm here and I'm very happy to be here.
How much communication was there? Did you think you were going to be on the Hawks, and then did you think you were going to be on the Thunder, or did you know that it was eventually going to be waived?
I knew I wasn't going to be in the Hawks, but I thought I was going to be with OKC. But at the end of the day, this is a business. You got to understand it, and yeah.
Why did you decide on the Warriors?
I think I've been having a lot of communication with them throughout the whole summer. Also, they were really interested in me, not only now, especially during the 2021 draft. I have a good, I think in Vegas, I met the staff, front office. I had a dinner with them, I think. It was really cool. And, I think it was the best option for me, being part of this organization, and I'm very happy for that.
It's been pointed out that they might lack some size, at least depth. Have they talked about what your role could be? What they want you just kind of like a rolling four? I mean, what do you see your strengths would match with this roster?
I think I can help the team. The team with putting energy, giving energy, effort. Trying to do my best every day, and I don't know. I just want to help the team win, and I will do whatever it takes.
Colin Ward-Henninger, CBS Sports. Over here.
Yeah.
In the draft, you drew some comparisons to Draymond defensively in terms of what your potential could be. Have you had a chance to pick his brain at all, and how excited are you to be able to work with a guy like that on defense?
Yeah, I'm excited to work with everyone pretty much here. A championship team and a team that won a ring basically last year. And yeah, of course, they drove me some similarities, but I want to learn from him a lot. Obviously, watching him every day is going to be very good for me. And I'm so excited for that.
I noticed you've been shooting the three pretty well. Not a lot of them, but you've been shooting them. What do you think your three is right now? Is that something you're pretty comfortable just kind of taking in the rhythm of an offense?
Yeah, I was shooting the ones I was taking the right shots. That was the key for me last year, taking the right shots. If I was very open or someone was really leaving me very open, I was I was taking it, and I was just taking the right shots, trying to make the best play possible.
Anything else?
Yep.
Hey, Moses, Tim Calcom, Athletic. We've been hearing about these workouts. I know you guys have been doing them for years, and yourself for the years you've been here. But were they a little bit amped up this time? Was it a little different? And then were you there when Chris was there? And what was that one like?
The summer workout? Yeah, it was good. We haven't really even done them very much since I've been here. So just going and being around the guys, being able to hang out off the court even more than on the court, but just getting those runs, being able to get acquainted with each other before training camp starts, I feel like was pretty good.
How did that all? Who was in charge of kind of getting them together? Who kind of started it?
Between 30, CP, Dre, somewhere in there. Though I guess that group.
Pretty important people there.
Yeah.
Hey, Moses. Colin Ward, Henninger, CBS Sports. Entering your third year now, what have you learned about off-season preparation, and how has that changed over the course of your career to know what you need to do to get ready for a season?
Yeah, that's a good question. Over the years, I've realized that off seasons when you really make those improvements, make those jumps, because during the season you got to manage your load, how much you're working out and all of that so much that you don't actually get to get the full work in like you want to. So being able to get a routine, I feel like is how you get the most progress, and being able to come up with a consistent routine over a period of time, you got the opportunity to do that in the summertime.
Moses, Kendra Andrews, ESPN. Over the past couple seasons, it's been harder for younger guys to get out on the court with this team and have consistent, playing time. Just what do you see as your goals for this season? Has the coaching staff talked to you at all about role, and just what do you hope to build on this year, really?
Yeah, preparation and all of that's been going towards being a contributing factor to winning. I want to be on the floor. I want to be a part of winning these games. And, on a championship team, that might look different than other situations or whatever, but I want to be a part of things.
Moses, Ann Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. At the end of last season and again last week, Steve and Mike talked about connectivity and chemistry as being things that really need to improve this year. I'm wondering, do you see an improvement? Obviously, today's the first day of camp, but in the workouts together, do you see improved chemistry? And how do players? I mean, it's one thing to say, let's improve our chemistry, but how do you go about actually doing that?
Yeah, I feel like even a lot of it might be genuine, just pieces and people kind of just gravitate where we're closer together. Thus far, like I said, those summertime workouts, those being around each other, hanging around each other, kind of gave us more time to develop authentic relationships rather than being thrown into training camp saying, okay, you got the best friends now. We've had some time to really be around each other, figure out things that you like about guys, and I think it's been able to authentically kind of happen that way.
Draymond mentioned that he noticed in scrimmages if Chris is with the younger guys, I don't know if he's with you, but maybe with Kuminga, there's things he's telling them. There's discussions, and look at it a different way. And then Draymond's impressed about hearing about what he's saying. Have you had those interactions with Chris? And has he kind of said, "Hey, if you do this, I can do that, and we can set you up to do something else"?
Yeah. He communicates. He talks. So a lot of he's obviously everybody knows how smart of a basketball player he is. But not only that, he's able to communicate what he's thinking really well. So he might have an idea somewhere you should be or a way you should do something on defense, and he's just willing to kind of dish out knowledge and game that he's picked up over the years.
How many times was Chris up here for workouts? 3, 4, 2, 3?
He's been here a lot. He even came to Vegas and got a run in with the summer league guys. So he's been going a lot. I don't necessarily know exactly how many times, but he's been here.
Was it mostly him with the young guys? Teams kind of thing?
They all always trying to, whoever's in town really so he's, most of the young guys are the people that's been in town. So whoever's in town at that time, they'll kind of do teams like that. But I don't know if it's specifically with the young guys.
What do you think was the difference for you last year, early in the season when you kind of fell out of the rotation compared to, playoff time? You're back in by the end. That Lakers series, you're playing 25 minutes tonight.
I feel like it was a journey. So figuring things out throughout the time that I wasn't playing as much or whatever, just trying to figure out something that works and trying to figure out what I can do to get on the floor, and it was just being able to do that by the end of the year.
Moses, Chris Alvarez back here, ABC7. Good to see you. I'm just curious what the best thing you did was this summer. Non-basketball related, the best thing of your summer.
Best non-basketball thing of my summer is a pretty tight race between the camp. I started my foundation, the Motivate One Foundation. I started that, and we had an event with a camp back home in Little Rock, and also my family trip. We went to Hilton Head, South Carolina, had a house on the water. Everybody was there, kids running around. That was a good time.
A follow-up to that camp, I think that was the one with Klay, right?
Yeah.
What did it mean for Klay to leave Greece and come to Arkansas to be with you?
Yeah, it was cool. He told me he was going to do it in the playoffs, and I thought he was just talking, but he stood on it. He came to Little Rock, Arkansas, and not only did he show up, but he showed out. He was running around with the kids, lifting them up. They had shooting paper airplanes everywhere and everything. It was cool. Cool. All right, thank you.
By the way, there's food now in the beat writer room and the.
Hey, I'm good.
Right.
See you too. Nice suit.
JK. Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. When you look at this past summer, you guys had a pretty long summer compared to the short summer you had the year before. Mm-hmm. What were the things you wanted to get accomplished this summer, and how well did you think you did those things?
I would say just going through that summer, I got to really focus on myself and working on things that teams want me to do and what teams want me to add on it, and just more of trying to be a full, complete player. And it's not going to happen just one night, but just putting work in every single day going to help me and establish or help me to get where I want to go.
How do you just generally feel about the opportunity in year 3 and the role that you expect to have?
Oh, I'm definitely coming back confident. Whatever happen, anything happen, I'm already prepared for anything. So I feel confident about going to my 3rd year.
Jonathan Carner-Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. What do you view as kind of your natural position? Do you see yourself as a power forward, small forward? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts on none of that. And you know how we play. You could be 6'2", you could be 7'2". Play every position. It don't matter. It's just as long as whatever you go out there and produce, that can help the team win. So.
Jonathan, Tim Kawakami, The Athletic. You talk about becoming more all-around player, whatever, however you phrase that. What specifically are you shooting? Are there specific things that you are looking to advance in this season?
Just pretty much. I would say just keep it on my confidence. Working pretty much on everything. Not really anything specific, but just pretty much, like I said, being a full, complete player and fit perfectly with the rest of the guy and helping his team win.
CJ Holmes, San Francisco Chronicle. So you got to play in the crossover Pro-Am this past summer, dropped 60 points in that. What was that experience like for you, and what does an opportunity like that do for your confidence?
It was just especially things that I kind of worked on all summer, and like you could always work out, but you just gotta go out there and play against people. So I just wanted to go out there and showcase what I've been working on. But definitely it was just me trying to have fun. So obviously it wasn't like really anything that I was trying to prove or anything like that. It was just me going out there and just showcase what I've been working on and having fun.
JK, how was your trip to South Africa with Basketball Beyond Borders?
Oh, my trip to South Africa was one of the best trips I ever had. It's crazy how a lot of people don't know. Like, I got to be a GM. I got to be a scout at the same time. I got to be the head coach. I got to be a trainer. So, and just looking back to that, those all my people. Man, I didn't get a chance to be in a Basketball Without Borders, but just going out there, helping the next generation coming from Africa, that means a lot to me. And another crazy thing, I got to be all that I just said and end up winning a championship. So I was excited coming out of South Africa.
How much did you know about Chris Paul before he came to your team, and what do you think he can do? Because Chris has a reputation of being able to really help young guys that get buckets and just advance their games and make them better.
I mean, obviously, we all knew Chris Paul was one of the best point guards to ever touch a basketball. And growing up, watching Chris Paul play, I actually get to play against him, and now we get to play again on the same team. And I'm just looking forward to get better every single day, to learn more, because he's been around this game for a very long time. So I can't wait to get going.
JK, Chris Alvarez from ABC7. Good to see you. I'm wondering what you miss the most about being in an NBA game when you're in the summer and the offseason. Like, what gets you geared up when you get back out on the court?
I definitely miss the fans. Being around my teammates, being coached. So it's the game that I love. So obviously summertime comes, it's time to relax and work and stuff like that. But like with the game you love, you always want to play every day. But it's impossible because you got to take breaks off basketball. So I'm really just excited to come back here, being around the group of people that I always love sharing time with. So I'm looking forward to that.
And that being said, do you get the motivation from these guys? Last year, coming off an NBA championship, and Draymond talked about maybe the motivation is different. Now you're hunting again. Do you like being in that position as being a team that's hunting maybe other teams in the West and around the league?
I mean, it's always been the same way. Every year is not going to be you guys' year. So obviously this year we're looking forward to it. Really excited. We're happy to get things going. Yes, sir.
Hey, Dario, Dalton Johnson with NBC Sports Bay Area over to your right. You know, the Warriors have talked about how important it was to sign you in free agency. What led to your decision coming here, and what excites you the most about being part of this team?
What excites me to be part of the team of, obviously, you know, this is the team who won like 4 championships in last couple of years. Obviously have like one of the greatest player ever, you know, one of the greatest system ever, one of the greatest coach ever. So it's kind of like, for me, it was kind of easy decision, you know. Obviously, I didn't sign in the first second of the how you say on when the free agency. So I didn't sign it right away, but you know, it was always in my mind, you know, like I want to go there. This is like best option for me to play, you know. Quality guys, you know, high-level IQ players who knows how to win. Obviously, you know, I came here like 10 days ago and I see like what he's been playing for the team who knows how to win. And even the guys who are coming kind of on the side or for training camp, you can see like how they fit in. You know, they fit in the system. Is not like, you know, figuring out. It's like everybody kind of knows what they're doing, and just glad and happy to be here. It's just like really happy to be here.
And how excited are you to be teammates with Chris Paul again?
I'm excited, you know. Me and Chris kind of like play together. We have like great run with the Suns. We went in the final. Obviously, you know, some circumstances we didn't win. You know, Bucks won the championship. Amazing guy, amazing player. You know, just how he read the court, how he playing pick and roll, how he can like play off the ball and that kind of stuff is just amazing. Happy to play with him again, and you know, he really knows how to find me, you know, in some situations. So we have like great experience playing together, and I hope, you know, we're gonna be a lot of time on the court together and kind of like figure out how to attack and how to guard. Obviously, great defender too. So just a great feeling to be with him again.
Yeah, you're kind of answering my question already, but I'll ask you a little specifically. Chris spent a lot of time talking about you, how perfect a fit you are for this team, and he can see it. Did you play a lot with him in Phoenix, and can you see this kind of being the basis of kind of a unit out there with this team?
Kind of, yeah, we play a lot, obviously. You know, he was the first unit, I was the second unit, but a lot of time during the season, kind of like he was playing with the second unit, and kind of like he was playing even with the campaign, you know, both them together with the second unit. So, what was your question?
You can see that kind of being a nice foundation for a unit.
Yeah,
from the
that's going to
Warriors.
be a nice foundation for unit. Obviously, you know, there was like more specifically like more pick and roll, let's say 2-on-2 game, and try to find the shooters on the side. But I think here is like different. You know, you have like 5 guys who are on the court who are dangerous in every moment, who are capable to score in every moment. That's the system. So, and trying to figure out from there is just like hard to guard. And obviously, when you have like Chris, who have like IQ, he can play the pick and roll. Is just like, I think, great addition for this team of Warriors, and they have like option play system, but they can play pick and roll too. You know what I mean? They have like great guy who can find the guys open.
Were you playing pick and roll with him? Were you?
I was setting screen for him most of the time. So sometimes I will short pop, sometimes I will roll, sometimes I will spread on the court and kind of do pick and pop and go from there. Or, you know, like last year we started playing together, but I was more playing 4, so I was like more playing off the ball, and I was kind of like reading him, how he was like playing pick and roll and try to make a cut or try to make like a little bit slide to be open for him to find me and get the open shot or play from that. But first, my year when we went the final, I was playing like more 5, more being like in pick and roll situation with him.
You've been on a few different teams. Just what are some of your first impressions on the vibe that you're getting from the Warriors?
I think you can see. Well, it's just like vibe and energy is different because you can kind of feel it. The team already did something, you know. They already won the championship multiple times, so they have kind of experience. They have like kind of that peace, and still proud, you know, how they're doing things. It's not the. Sometimes you come in the teams, and especially on a training camp when it's everything kind of like wild, you know. Everybody kind of wanna prove themselves, but here is like kind of like everything's kind of knows like the way, you know what I mean? Like everybody need to find a way how to fit in that kind of like system of what they want, you know what I mean? Like it's not like somebody need to prove something. It's like more like how you fit in a team. You don't need to prove nothing, so you just need to fit with these team guys. Obviously you're not gonna shoot more times than Steph Curry, you know what I mean? Like, so you kind of need to find how to set up with that team. That's like really like not so many teams have, you know. It's not like fighting for position or something like that, you know what I mean? It's just like naturally bring you to fit here, not to play against each other for the better spot, something like that.
How you doing, Dario? CJ Holmes, San Francisco Chronicle. Did you want to be a part of this franchise as much as fans seemingly wanted you to be?
Yeah, I wanted to be. I'm happy I'm here. You know, obviously, I didn't sign on first day of free agency, but I signed the 5th day of free agency. So I'm happy to be here. You know, I looked a little bit on those couple days. I looked a little bit of videos of Warriors, how they run the stuff, you know, a little bit more kind of like to see how I can fit there. And obviously, I think I can. So I'm really like happy to be here. I hope the fans are happy. I hope, you know, I will prove to fans I deserve to be part of this team, and I hope we're gonna have a like great season.
Yep.
All right, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me find out why.
We heard you had a back injury. That was in a scrimmage.
Yeah. Just kind of hurt it a little bit in the scrimmage. Yeah.
Is it? Have you ever dealt with anything similar before?
Yeah, I've dealt with something similar before. It's nothing. It's not like a long-term thing or anything super serious.
Got you.
Hey, Corey. Colin Moore, Henninger, CBS Sports. When people come into this organization, they usually talk about the culture and the championships and everything. But you've been in this league a long time. How do you think you can bring leadership, culture, et cetera, to this team?
Yeah, I've been kind of experienced both sides of it. I feel like when I started my career in San Antonio, we had a similar culture that people talked about and whatnot. And then, I've been more so on the rebuilding or side of things too. So I think, this group has kind of, been together for a while, and I could kind of bring that different aspects in terms of, what other organizations are kind of doing or how things are being viewed on the opposite side. Because sometimes when you're, with somebody for a long, period of time, even if you're doing things, right and at the top of your game, you still get curious to how things are on the other side. And just with me, I feel like I'm a winner ultimately, and try to do anything it takes to win and contribute to that.
What do you think it's going to be like being in a point guard room where it's you, Chris Paul, Steph Curry?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Just to have those conversations. Obviously, two of the best point guards to ever do it. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it. I'm gonna be a sponge every day and just listening to them and trying to gain any knowledge I can. I think this is CP's 19th season and Steph's up there as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. Perfect. This is awesome. Amazing. All right. Thank you.
Rudy, over to your right. Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Welcome to the Bay. What led to your road to the Warriors? I mean, being a free agent, you could have kind of looked at other teams and probably had some other feelers out there, but how did you end up here, and what was the reason why you wanted to be here at this time?
What led to here? Everything. It's just the culture, man. Me being, knowing a lot of the players. Played on 2 world championships with Steph, one with Klay. Chris has been a friend of mine for years. Draymond, we've been friendly for a while, and just the culture here, coming here and playing, the fans, the city. It's just it's time. It's time to I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career. It's just time for me to for that one goal, and this is the culture that you have that.
Hi, Rudy. We spoke earlier outside about the court. Just tell me what's it like for you, as you mentioned to Monty, your veteran experience and what you can bring to the table, and what's it going to be like playing with this roster of Warriors? Because this is a pretty different roster in a lot of ways than what the Warriors had last season.
Just my experience, knowing what this team needs. this team is already set with what they have. I'm not a young player trying to prove myself. I'm just trying to win. So we know what we have, and for the most part, the team knows what I can bring. So hopefully it'll be a good transition.
Hey, Rudy. Colin Ward, Henninger, CBS Sports. For most of your career, you're a bucket getter, right? Like 20 points a game. And then how do you make that transition to where, you slowly realize that's not your role and now you got to do other things to contribute to a team?
Well, I mean, injuries did it for me, but, it's just life, man, longevity, I was always a firm believer of trying to learn different traits all the time. And when life hits you, you gotta learn how to pivot, and no pun intended, what I mean? But it's just learning how to pivot in life. I've been doing it all my life. So, be able to do whatever it takes to win is something that just comes natural to me.
They have a couple roster spots open. I know they're bringing a lot of guys to camp. What's your understanding of just kind of what the situation is for you entering camp? And
well, I mean, what to expect? I don't expect anything. I'm just go out there and prove that I can still go. This is year 18, so I mean, I've pretty much seen everything. Been a part of a lot, but this is a good opportunity for me. I'm excited, so I'm motivated and I'm ready to go. I'm trying to win.
Oftentimes with this team, guys will come in and maybe they've been, 3s or 4s and can downshift into 5. They play a lot of small lineups. I know it's something that you've done the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you kind of view your potential role on this team in the front court?
Wherever. I mean, to win, you have to change, just like that, whenever. So I'm prepared to be whatever the team needs me, whatever Steve needs me to do. Obviously I have a lot of guys on here that have had experience with different lineups and stuff, and I'll have conversations with them about what they need from me, and I'm just willing to do whatever. I'm not boxed into one way of playing anymore. That was me 10 years ago. When I was just trying to make it, trying to do, trying to carve myself into whatever my career is going to be. But right now it's just time to win. Yeah. Thank you.
I got about 3 hot questions, so come on. Don't ask no crazy questions.
No, I'm looking at one person. You, yeah.
Hey, Gary, Tim Kawakami, Athletic. Don't know if you love this one, but yeah, health-wise, were you ever 100% last season, and are you 100% right now?
Yeah, if I had to come back and I had to sit out for a month, it's probably not a good look, but I'm healthy. It doesn't matter. Healthy, ready to go, all 82, hopefully. So
And going through like some of the workouts and everything.
I've been doing everything. Fresh, clean summer, traveling, playing basketball, no problems, no issues, ready to go. Ready to go. Excited. See, look at that.
Hi, Gary.
Hey.
Is
I can hear you.
Okay. Draymond, is it working?
Oh, there we
okay. Draymond was in here and Chris Paul both, and just kind of talking about their history and battles and not liking each other. And have you observed any of this yet? And these two, can you imagine the fire and the veterans on this team now with the addition of Chris?
Yeah, it's gonna be wonderful. We don't got to worry about Chris on the other side, bothering us with his antics, and Draymond bothering him, so they can bother other guys now. So it's I'm glad they're on my side and excited to get on the court with them, cause havoc.
You obviously weren't here at the start of last season, but how does just the general vibe might feel different heading into this training camp compared to how last season ended with just how the team was?
Connectivity, I want to say, is the word. I think that's the word.
Are you guys getting paid to say that?
That's the word? Oh, that's the word? All right, I'm on a good track. But no, we've had multiple mini camps throughout the summer. Everybody seems locked in, Chris, he's been asking, wondering, how we do things here, and everything, and I'm sure it's going to not take him too long to, get accustomed and everything. Is you just throw Chris in there, and I'm sure he'll figure it out, sooner or later. So, like I said, it's just connectiveness. Everybody's on the same page, want the same thing, and, we're pushing, to something bigger.
Hi, Gary. Chris Alvarez, maybe C7. How was your summer?
It was great.
Yeah.
How was yours?
Just the motivation factor. Obviously, last year didn't end how you guys wanted to. There's high expectations. There's some new guys. But what's the sense? You talk about connectivity, but what is that sense towards building towards a championship and being hungry to get back to where you were a couple years ago?
It was little steps, Started in the summer, like I said, and we just keep going. Treat this week like we've been treating every other week we come in, play, do what we got to do, and continue just to take those steps day by day. We're going to go through some ups and downs, of course, like every team. But, when we need to, flip that switch and, lock in and really take those steps to, to play our highest peak at the right time, I think, it's going to come. We have too many vets, to let that slip away. So I think, once again, we just follow our vets and, everything's going to be all right.
How good does that Warriors jersey look on Chris Paul?
Oh, I thought you was about to say on me, but
yours looks.
Yeah,
yours looks
we
good.
both look good in these threads, But it's a little different. Get a little second to get used to, but I'm sure on Saturday it'll sink in.
Hey, Gary. Colin Warhenninger, CBS Sports. You see a lot of guys on Instagram with their summer workouts. They're shooting. They're doing drills. It's easy to see offensive progression, but what do you do to work on defense over the summer in terms of your workouts?
Guard a lot of guys, one-on-one. And go find pickups, anywhere, outside, inside. Just get a different feel for, different types of players. So that's pretty much just got to go outside and play basketball, basically.
Hi, I'm Ashana from Academy of Art. I hope you're well, by the way.
I'm great, you?
Is what kind of work do you have to put in during the season to maintain the high level that you have?
It's really maintaining your body, taking care of your body after practice, after games, before practice, before games. Make sure, you're taking everything that you need to do to get your body back to that full strength and health that you need the next day. Get your sleep, nutrition. A lot of things go behind it. It's a everyday, task. So just got to be disciplined, but continue to take care of your body, and it'll come back for you.
Hey, Gary, you talk about the importance of pickup. How important do you think it was for Klay to get a lot of pickup in this offseason? After last offseason, he talked about he wasn't able to do that as much. Where do you see him at right now mentally?
Mentally, great. I mean, Klay's in a great spot, Captain Klay. He's on the water a lot and he's on the court, so I think that's the two things he loves the most. And it's great to see him, 100%. He looks 100% to me. Mental looks like he's in a great place, just happy and ready to go, excited about this year. And like you said, he's been playing all summer, so I'm glad that he got back to that and doing what he loves every day, and not having to worry about this or that, but just have a clear mind.
Physically, how would you compare how you felt like right when you got back last year, maybe like Lakers series end of last season to now?
Ready to play 82 right now. I only played 15? So that's kind of night and day.
Gary, there was some video recently of Steph training on some sand dunes in Dubai, last week. Curious maybe what your craziest workout you've ever done is, and how Steph sets the tone with, we all know his greatness, but he's doing anything he can to get back to the mountaintop.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to beat that sand dunes in Dubai, but yeah, anything that can, get you a little edge or get you a competitive, advantage. But, 30 comes up with, I know he has his team and they come up with all these things to get your bodies right, certain things to work on, what he needs to work on. But I've definitely done some sand dunes in my time, maybe in it's California or something. But yeah, same thing, hills, anything that can, get a little bit more speed, a little bit more strength, a little bit more agility. And I know he's going to go to the wall and be ready. So it just gives everybody else, motivation to, be ready to have his back.
What's going on, Gary?
What's up, bud?
As Dalton behind me reported earlier in the summer, you didn't waste any time switching back to number 0 once Dante signed with the Knicks. What is the significance behind that number for you?
It's just me. I came here with it, did some cool things with it, so might as well go back to it, and hopefully he can rewind itself. You guys are great. Have a great day.
Thanks, Derek. You are saved the best for last.
Oh, man.
Hey, Kevon, good afternoon. Ryan Leong, NBC News Radio. Welcome back. What's the challenge for you guys this year? I mean, of course, the goal is to do better than you did last year. What's your thoughts on having a couple of new teammates like Chris Paul and Rudy Gay to help you guys reach that goal?
I'm excited to play with those guys. Them guys are veterans in this league. They had a lot of success on different stops, and wherever they go, they had a lot of success. So I'm excited to play with them. Going forward, you got to figure out our style of play and continue to build our chemistry and keep our health right going down the stretch. And I think we got enough talent to go really far. We just got to make sure we're healthy at the end.
Kevon, everyone's talking about connectivity and to be connected more. We all know that last year maybe was not the greatest season for that. Mm-hmm. Have you felt that already, Kevon? Is it still a work in progress, or do you think this team is much better connected now than it was, say, 8 months ago?
8 months ago. I feel like we're building to the right direction. I feel like we are connected. Off the court, everything seems to flowing fine. It's gonna take time on the court, like always, just to find the right rotations and build that chemistry on the court. So I think we're in the right direction. I think we have the talent and the personalities that's gonna mix well. I think we got a good balance of older and young. So I think it's gonna be a fun year, and I think the chemistry is off to a great start.
Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Draymond obviously has a reputation for being intense and a guy who rubs people the wrong way, opponents the wrong way. They don't like him. Chris has that same kind of reputation. Yeah. What do you think having two guys like that on this team can do for what this team needs to do to put together a good season?
I think it's going to be great for our team to have that edge that we need to compete on the court. Having both of those guys they're going to challenge us. Both of them going to hold everybody accountable, and I think that's what we need to get back to where we want to go. So having those personalities that I think is going to show on our team and when we play, and I think it's going to be good for us.
Kevon, Kendra Andrews, ESPN. Two questions for you. The first is just what does having Chris Paul add to this team?
Having Chris adds a lot, as another leader to our team, somebody with another high IQ and another just a huge basketball know-how. He's somebody who can change the pace of our team. He can play fast and he can slow it down and execute in the half court. I think he's gonna keep us under control a little bit more. Sometimes last year we got a little bit too chaotic. I think having Chris out there is gonna help balance us out.
And then secondly, there's the big question surrounding Chris is where does he fit? Is he going to start? Is he going to come off the bench? You kind of seem to be merged into that conversation. I mean, how would you feel if you were to come off the bench? Do you care? Does it matter?
I really don't. I don't care. I done played every role on this team, from starter to bench to not dressing to whatever. I feel like I worked hard enough to be a starter in this league. But when you got five other guys that have been in All-Star games, you kind of got to just go with the flow, see what happens. I know Steve's going to put the best lineup and combination out there that I think it's going to take to win the game. So I'm going into camp with just whatever happens. I'm just going to be ready to play and play my role.
Hey, Kevon, Dalton Johnson, NBC Sports Bay Area. What's it like been working with Trayce so far, and how has he maybe impressed you early on?
It's been fun working out with him and playing with him. He's been really good. He has a great feel for the game. He's real active on the glass. He's real bouncy. So it's been fun matching up with him and getting to play against him. And hopefully I can show him some things and I can learn from him as well. I think he has a bright future and he fits our style of play really well.
And then the way that Dario can space the floor, is he another big man that you can see yourself maybe sharing the floor with as well?
For sure. He's somebody I think I can play with. he's somebody that's he can space the floor. He also can make plays off the dribble. He can do a lot of different things for us. I think he's going to be a huge piece for us. And he's the type of player that always usually thrives well in our type of system.
Hi, Kevon. Nice to see you.
I see you as well.
How optimistic are you of seeing kind of Jonathan's continued growth and maybe doing what he can do on a more consistent basis as he gets opportunities and maybe leaning on you and Rudy and to keep learning and building?
I'm excited for JK and this year. I've seen how hard he's been working this summer. I've seen the growth already in our few pickup games we played, and he's somebody that's asked a lot of questions. He wants to learn. He wants to be really good, and I'm excited for him. I think he's going to help us a lot. He provides some athleticism and speed and defensive things that we need, and I think this is the year for him to take that next step. And I think he's capable, and I think he's ready.
How about working with Rudy for both of you guys?
That's pretty cool. Rudy has a wealth of knowledge. I think it was his 17th or 18th year. He's been a guy that's been a big scorer in his league. He done played the 3 to 4. He done played for a lot of great coaches. I think he can teach me a lot of things. He can teach JK a lot of things about scoring, post ups and different things from tricks you can't get from unless you actually play. And I think he has a wealth of knowledge in that, and I think it's going to be great for us.
Kevon, Klay was talking about how much it meant to him to go back to China this past summer, and I know you were there with him. What was it like seeing fans responding to him to kind of feel a little bit like the old days a little bit?
Definitely. It was insane, the fan love that we got out there. You kind of forget how big the NBA is and how big basketball is when you just kind of just sit here at home. We haven't been there in a long time, and for me, that was my first time going with him, and so to see the love that we got, the experience was great. That was chasing the athletes like we was real, like Michael Jackson or somebody, a rock star. So it was pretty cool to be a part of that and experience that.
Kevon, Chris Alvarez from ABC7. You also went to Milwaukee, and I looked all over the internet. How did your first pitch go? I never saw the actual video of that.
It actually was I wouldn't say really good, but it was good. I was actually really nervous. I got video. I was a little nervous. I didn't want to embarrass my dad. He's been playing baseball with me for a long time, but I haven't threw a pitch in probably 10, 15 years. So I went to practice before I got it there.
When you say really good and I haven't seen it, where did it go?
I mean, it was a little right. It was a ball. I got the video. I'll show you.
90 miles per hour?
It was about 46.
Forgot the question I was going to ask. I actually did. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we know you played 82 in every play. Is that still your goal? Play 82? Do you expect to play 82?
Definitely. That's always my goal, to be there every night. Something that I feel like I'm capable of doing. I feel really good coming into the season. The last 2 years I did it, I feel like I played better when I played every game. So I feel like I'm going to keep the tradition going and play every game.
Well, also last year you revealed you had that internship. Did you do another internship this summer? What's the status of your internship over the summer?
I didn't do an internship this summer. I did a few things with music, and if they call me, sometimes we have just a building relationship. So whenever they call me, they need something, or if I need them, we just lean on each other. I'm kind of saving my favors for down the road when I really need them. But it was a great experience last summer. This summer I was kind of busy and went to China with Klay, so I was doing that type of stuff. But hopefully next year I get to do even more stuff.
You've been watching Steph now for a pretty long time, and we've heard the stories about his workouts and his physical conditioning stuff, but you also put in a lot of work to do that. Right. Talk a little bit about your summer and maybe how much watching him has driven you to do what you do in order to be the best you.
Definitely, watching Steph put in work, it makes you have to question, like, am I doing enough? Everybody, when they come to me, they think they're working hard until they see what hard work really looks like. And I had the pleasure and the honor to watch Steph, Klay, Andre, some other guys really put in work, and I kind of learned how to work hard. I can't do what he do. I had to tailor my workout for me. We got different bodies in different situations, but definitely made me want to lock in and challenge myself to do more. And I feel like every summer I get better, I get stronger. I got my routine that I go through, and it works for me.
Let's go, Double R.
Doing.
How you doing, Andrew? Tim Calcom of The Athletic. A lot of talk over the last few weeks from Mike Dunleavy, from Steve Kerr, from your own teammates about being more connected. That's important. Things feel better. Have you been part of some of these summer workouts, and do you think there is a definite improvement in the way this team is connected?
For sure. I went to both of them. And everyone came out. It was a great time. Just having time to connect. With the team, and because summertime you usually don't see nobody that often. So getting a chance to catch up and seeing how everyone's summer's been, and getting a chance to get in the gym and get some work done has been great. I feel like it's going to help us get off to a great start. A great training camp, and set that foundation up for the rest of the year.
As you kind of look back to last season, how challenging was that for you overall, and where do you feel like, how do you feel going into this season just with everything?
Last season was a little different, for sure, with the connectivity part. But I'm confident for this season. I feel like, that helped, having little team get-togethers and, just building that connectivity up and that trust up and that chemistry. And so I feel like this year will be a special year for us.
Hey, Andrew. Colin Ward-Henninger, CBS Sports. What's it like having your fellow Torontonian, Cory Joseph, on the roster this year?
Oh, man, it's great. When I heard he was coming to the team, I was, very excited. I've known him for years, since I was like a little kid. So, it's great.
Hi, Andrew.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I've been good.
Good. You didn't have much continuity to your season last year with injuries and tough personal stuff. Mm-hmm. How much do you sort of look forward to turning the page with a fresh start and maybe have a little more flow to your season? And how hard was that, and how did you get through that?
Last year was definitely a tough year, for sure. But I feel like I have a great family, great friends, and a great support system, for times that aren't easy. But for this year, I'm excited. My plan is to be on the court, all the time, and just be out there with the guys. And I'm confident about this year. I put in a lot of work this summer to prepare myself for the season coming up. So.
Andrew. Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Draymond was in here earlier, and he was saying that, he kind of has a reputation among opponents as being an a-hole. He said Chris has that same reputation. What do you think it would be like having two guys that opponents really hate on your team, and what it can do for you guys?
They're Draymond, CP, they're the players that, you hate to play against, but you love to have them on your team. They're dogs. They're very intelligent, and they know how to get, under the other team's skin, like their weaknesses. They're very smart players. So getting a chance to play alongside both of them, is going to be very special.
Andrew, Chris Alvarez from ABC7. Obviously, you've been on this team for the last couple of years with Steph, Klay, Draymond, all future Hall of Famers. You add Chris Paul. What can that dynamic bring to you guys, and how excited are you personally to play with Chris Paul, and how can he elevate your game?
I feel like just, CP being on this team is, he'll take it to another level. He's one of the best point guards to ever do it. So with him on the court, I'm excited, very excited. Everywhere he's went to, he's improved the team. So I got no doubt in my mind that this team is going to do the same.
Hey, Andrew from Crucial Sports from China. So we know that you've been to China this summer, had several weeks there. So you have any special memory from there and getting back?
Yeah, when I went to China, I had a fun time. You know, the fans, they showed a lot of love, you know, a lot of support. They were everywhere. One of the best parts about that trip was probably going to the zoo. I've seen a lot of animals I haven't seen, you know, with my own two eyes, you know, in person. So getting a chance to see all the animals and, you know, getting to feed a couple of them was pretty cool. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Chris. Tim Kawakami, The Athletic. We've heard about these workouts and how you helped, like you were kind of insistent on getting up here. What was that like? Why did you want to go through this, and what were those workouts like?
First of all, how you doing? I'm sorry, say that one more time. What's the question?
Just the off-season workouts that we've heard about with you coming up here and get Steph there and the young guys. Just like why did you think they were important, and what did you get out of them?
Believe it or not, it's not my first time being traded on another team, so it's part of it. With anything, if you change jobs or anything, going to a new environment, you want to be around the guys. It's the only way you get a chance to know each other. And so it was cool. We got a chance to hoop, spend time together, and we still got a lot of work to do. But I hate it for anybody who show up to media day and say what up for the first time and not know nobody. I make it tough on you.
CJ Holmes, San Francisco Chronicle. Hope you're doing well, Chris.
You too.
So, you know, back during Summer League, you held the Warriors jersey in your hand. You know, you said you never thought you'd see the day. Now that you've gone through media day, actually got the uniform on, you know, have had workouts this summer with your new teammates. You know, how's this transition been for you, you know, coming to this organization?
It's going. It's going. It's been going really well. First time I actually put the uniform on was for my new State Farm commercials. You know, but it's a transition with anything. You know, just even media day when you saying Dub Nation here and there, has not been a sound I didn't like to hear for the past I don't know how many years. But I think getting here, you know, seriously communicating with Raymond, getting to know E and all the different people that work here with the team, you know, it makes it a lot more personable, you know what I mean? So it's not like I'm just walking past Raymond before the games or whatnot, just sort of side-eyeing each other. You get to know everybody here on a more personal experience, and I think that's been really cool.
Yeah, Anthony Sater with The Athletic. How are you?
Yep.
You obviously, I assume, probably know that the starting lineup question is coming.
No.
What is, I guess you're just, how much does that matter to you?
You know, for me, I actually had an opportunity in 2008 to come off the bench for the Olympic team, you know what I mean? And that went pretty well. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about winning. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to help our team win. So I know coaching us, we're going to talk about it and see what it looks like. We've been hooping all summer, and I think, you know, for the season, you know, it's going to be whatever to help our team win. And I think I've at least tried to show or proven that my entire career. So, yeah.
Chris Dalton Johnson with NBC Sports Bay Area. Steve and Mike have made it so clear what a big signing Dario Saric was. You guys have history together. Why is he so important to this team, and why is he such a good combination with you as well?
And Dario, just a great dude, great teammate. He was a big part of our Phoenix team until he got injured. You know, and I think we got a lot of guys on our team who sort of play with a chip on their shoulder or something to prove. And Dario just the, you know, when I knew I was coming here and I talked to Mike about the opportunity to play with Dario here, you know, some guys just fit a team really well. And I think with the way that we want to play, Dario fits that.
Yes, Kendra Andrews, ESPN. It's good to see you. You were just speaking a little bit ago about how you never thought this day, you have to say go Warriors, all these things. when Draymond was in here, he spoke for about 5 minutes on just the evolution of your guys' relationship. So from your perspective and point of view, how do you describe the evolution of your relationship with Draymond and Steph, Klay, Steve, all these guys here?
I mean, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Even with Dre, we been the craziest competitors against each other for a long time. And there's a lot of things said here and there. I tend to deal with things a lot more privately. So we talked, went to lunch, had a great conversation, all these different things. But also with all the different guys, Steph, Klay. I mean, I told you Klay then guarded me for years. We was playing pickup the other day, and he guarded me, and I looked at, I said, we don't do this no more, And so it's funny, man. Life is crazy. Willie Green, who's like a brother to me, actually became an assistant coach years ago here, and it kind of changed the dynamics of our relationship for a little while. You know what I mean? But it's funny how life happens, but everyone here, all the guys, Steve, everybody has been great, and we are all trying to build.
Hey, Chris. Colin Ward, Henninger, CBS Sports. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Everyone kind of talks about you as the elder statesman and with all this experience and how much they can learn from you. What do you think you can learn from the guys that you on this team?
A lot. I think that's what's been cool. I know, when you come in the league, you hope to play with one team your whole career. It's only been a few guys that's ever got the opportunity to do that. And I was hoping I would do that with New Orleans, but actually really cool part of my career is the fact that I've played with other teams and other great players. So I've been able to learn how to do things not just a certain way. I've had the opportunity to play with Blake Griffin, play with David West, play with James Harden, Shea, and then I got a chance to play with Devin the last few years. So being here with this great group of talent, me and Steph was in the gym together last night, and it's just fun when you're working out with guys because you think you know things, so even with JK and even some of the younger guys, you can always learn in this league, and that's what brings the excitement, and that's what makes it fun.
Hi, Chris. Janie McCauley from AP. Good to see you again.
Yes, man. You too.
Yeah, thanks. Along those lines, I mean, the Warriors have been in your path in recent seasons.
You sure?
But what have been your observations about how this group operated? And when guys went down, whether it was Draymond or Steph or Klay for a couple of years, what they were able to do and sort of your observations from the outside looking in and now being part of it.
It's funny, even though it's 30 teams in this league is pretty small. So just the way this league works, you always know somebody in the locker room, a coach, someone close to every organization in the league, especially if you've been around as long as I have. But you never know until you get inside, and you get inside that locker room and you see what it's like. And, you come around and you see the different people that help on a daily basis, and you get to know the guys and you understand why they won, and everybody plays a role. It's funny, Dre is always sort of this villain. He was damn sure one when I was on another team, but you get a chance to be around the team and you see what he means to this team, what he means to this organization, and everybody, plays their part. And that's why team sports and teams works, because, got a friend of mine, Killer Mike, who always says when everybody does a little, no one has to do a lot. And, that's what I hope to bring to this team.
Hi, Chris. Joe Fonzie from KTVU. In addition to Draymond talking about the high-profile matchups that you guys have had that were so competitive, he also said that you're a big influence on the younger players. Is that something that you consciously do? And if so, how can you help them with your years of experience?
It's not like I come in here and say, yo, what the young guys doing every day? It's just, I mean, from my life, I've always been vertically challenged. So I've never been a power forward or a center, right? I've always played point guard, or in football, I was a quarterback, or, I was the union president and all this stuff. So you understand, like with leadership, you got to bring everybody along, And so in order for our team to be good, it can't be the vets over here and the young guys over there. It takes a team. And so we all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. So I think one of my strengths has always been to at least try. I ain't always perfect, but I at least try to make sure I bring people together.
Hey, Chris, Ann Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. My question is along those same lines. At the end of last season, when it ended the way they didn't want it to, and at the beginning of this season, there's been a lot of talk about chemistry and connectivity between the players. I'm wondering, as someone coming in from the outside, did it look wrong to you, the chemistry with this team? And
yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, not to cut you off, but I don't listen to what nobody say on the outside or what it was supposed to be. I can only go by my experience.
Yeah.
You know, so it ain't like I came in like searching for what's this, what's that. It's people. You know, so I can never go by what was said, this, that, and the third.
Well, I'm like Steve said it, but I'm just wondering, is it something that you emphasize? Like, how do you do that as a leader? How do you bring people together?
I didn't know Steve said. You know what I'm saying? What I'm telling you is I can only go by my experience, and I think the biggest thing that's helped me with leadership over years is experience, right? So different situations that I've been in, they don't always go perfect, but I know I try, and the biggest thing that you can do with anybody is to spend time with them, you know, real time with them, and so that's that.
Chris Paul, Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Welcome to the Bay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Draymond was up here a minute ago, and he was basically saying that, yeah, you know, people look at me from the outside, and they probably know, they look at me and think I'm an a-hole. We look at Chris, they think he an a-hole.
Right.
Do you think that having both you guys on this team in that role with that reputation can be, I don't know, motivational or in any way an advantage against other teams?
We're going to find out. You know, it's serious. Like, I've said this a number of places. The one person that I wish I would have got an opportunity to play with my entire career that I never did was Kevin Garnett, right? And that was because the first 3 times I played against KG, we both got double techs, right? Because we both played with the same intensity. And I never really played with, like, other than sort of Tyson and D. West, but I never really played with, like, big men that, like, protected your guards, you know what I mean, to where you ain't have to get into those shit, you know what I mean? I sort of just did it myself, you know? So I'm excited, even though the way it's been for years or whatnot with Dre, I'm excited about being on the same team with him.
A few people have specifically mentioned Kuminga as a guy they think you can help. I'm just curious your thoughts on, you know, his game and his talent, and where, you know, basketball-wise, you think you might be able to help him when you're in lineups with him?
JK can hoop, man. We done had some great moments and pickup and all that stuff, but I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm a hooper. Like, of course I may be able to help JK, but everybody, you know what I mean, on the team, and I feel like those guys are going to be able to help me. So I'm going to tell you, I'm not like a guy who's coming in like, oh, this is just my focus. Like, I'm here to hoop and to play, and that's the way I am. That's the way I've always been, and that's not changing.
2 last questions. Chris, Anthony Flores up here with NBC Bay Area. On a much lighter note, what did it feel like today putting on that uniform? And as you guys build chemistry, did your teammates kind of give you some jokes about seeing you in that uniform for the first time?
Teammates, what? That's all I hear. You know what I'm saying? From the coaches to everybody. Q, one of the assistant coaches, every time I show up to practice or anything, he just pat me on the back and tell me how good this looks on me, you know. But I remember the first day I came here, I took a picture of my locker in the uniform and the jersey, and I put it in my family group chat. And even in the group chat with all my homies and my friends, and they was like, "Oh, damn, that's gonna take some getting used to." So it's definitely been a process. But the coolest part about it has been hooping, right? Like basketball is for years, for a lifetime, just been a connector. You know what I mean? So once we get out on the court, that's the last thing that's on my mind or any of the guys' mind. So that's sort of like the safe haven.
Chris Ron Bard, Sports Byline. I'm just wondering, I'm over here.
Oh, my bad. You got the phone in front of you, man.
I'm just wondering, the one thing always said about you is about your basketball intelligence. And I've often wondered, it's one thing to talk about it from the outside if you're watching a player, but how do you define that basketball intelligence label on you? What does that mean when people say that about you from your perspective?
Probably just mean I ain't that athletic. You know what I mean? I have to use that to get by. But no, it just, I mean, I love this game, right? I study this game a lot. I watch games all day, every day, and it's an art to it. It's a way I express myself. You know, it's like I said, it's sort of a safe haven. So I love to hoop. I love to play basketball, and yeah, I think that basketball intelligence just comes from always watching and looking and learning. Like someone asked earlier, you know, when you come to a new team or something like that, there's different plays or sets or whatnot. So always being able to learn.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I'm solid. How's everyone? Welcome back to the real world. Life. All right.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
CJ Holmes, San Francisco Chronicle. Dre, what's going on with the ankle?
How's Auburn?
Auburn was great, actually.
Wow.
Well, what's going on with the ankle? How'd you first, suffer that injury, and how you feeling now?
Was just playing pickup and was going up for a layup. Came down on JK's foot. But I feel good. I feel like I'm improving fast. I'm a pretty fast healer, so I feel like I'm improving fast, and it's good. Didn't quite foresee this coming into the season, but everything happens for a reason. I think I'm excited because we have a great performance team, and I'll be in even better shape by the time, whenever that is, when I start playing, than I even am in now with our performance team. So it's an opportunity for me to get better and continue to improve up on some things that I've been working on. And, when the time is there, get back out there and be ready to go and, hit the ground running.
You've, obviously twisted your ankle a few times. Every basketball player has. Is this as bad as you've ever twisted it?
No, I've had some bad ones. It could have been as bad. I thought it was going to be, especially initially. But I've had some bad ones, and, it's tough, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, grand scheme, how big of a setback do you view it as far as timing, right before camp and missing these practices?
I mean, I think I've missed the beginning of training camp before. It actually sucks because from that point on, you feel like you're playing catch-up. I think the goal and the task is to put yourself in a space of where your plan is the least amount of catch-up that you could possibly play. And so that's my goal, to do everything that I can to where, I'm not – essentially use this time as wisely as I can so that I'm not totally playing catch-up. Obviously helps that, I'm going into year 12. I know what to expect. I know, the task at hand. I think it's a lot tougher as a young guy coming into training camp hurt. You're trying to learn. You're trying to get the speed of things. All these things going on. It's a whirlwind. For me, I've been around the block a few times, so I'll get up to speed pretty fast and just, try to make sure I'm a part of the practices, know everything that's going on. Things change from year to year, and so just try to be as much of a part of it as I can while, still getting my work in and getting back as fast as I can.
Hey, Draymond, following up on that, it is year 12 for you, and, Steph, Klay, you've been around those guys for a really long time, but with a different supporting cast, obviously, Chris coming here, how does that change maybe the way you can keep up with things when there are inherently going to be some differences, Steve playing around with the lineup, those kinds of things?
Well, I think there's definitely going to be some differences, and I think one of the things that will be important to keep up with is Chris, because Chris will have his own view of how certain things should work, and like you just don't take that and throw it away. Like, it's Chris Paul, and he's one of the smartest players to play this game, so he's going to have some things, say some things, see some things that, quite frankly, nobody else may see or say, you know? And so I think from that perspective alone is a difference. Like, that's a totally different force to be reckoned with, you know? And like I said, that'll come with some different things, some different vantage points. That'll come with, man, I see y'all doing this way. What do y'all think about doing it this way? And then you look at it like, that makes sense. I wouldn't have thought of that. And all of a sudden, something we've been doing this way changes, you know? And so I think just understanding all of those things will be important. And, you know, Steve, like you said, Steve will teeter with things during the preseason. That is the time to do that. And so, you know, but I think for us, the goal is to get our foot in as quickly as we can, kind of settle into who we are and who we want to be as quickly as we can, and then go from there.
Hey, Draymond. Colin Ward, Henninger, CBS Sports. Going back to what you were saying about Chris Paul, you've been the lead playmaker on this team, assist guy for a long time. But even with all that experience, what can you learn?
I don't see that changing now.
No, that's not what I meant.
Headline or something, right? Huh?
No, that's not where I was going. It's friendly.
No,
what can you learn from a guy like Chris
I
Paul?
I think number one for me to learn, like anytime you get to learn from a guy like Chris Paul, you're lucky, you know. And so for me, I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I have this saying. I always walk around talking to guys like, I see everything. I'm a point guard, you know, and it's just it could be us sitting here and I see this thing like I'm a point guard. I see that, but like to actually have a guy like Chris Paul to learn from the experience that he has. When you talk about mastering the point guard position, he mastered that position. He's one of the most incredible playmakers we've seen in this league. It's funny because I was talking with a couple friends, Travis in particular, the other day, and we were sitting and we were talking with a couple of the young guys, and I thought it was very interesting some of the things that the young guys had to say. And we were just talking about pickup, like. A couple of the young guys was playing on Chris' team, and he was telling us some of the things that Chris was saying and doing with like him and Kuminga. And I was just sitting there, and Travis and I were sitting there looking at each other like, wow. Like, and the first thing Travis said is, wow, I got to teach TJ that. TJ is Travis' son, my nephew. He's like, wow, I got to teach TJ that. And like, we weren't even sitting with Chris. Like, we weren't anywhere. Chris wasn't even in the same place we were. But yet, and still, we're sitting there essentially learning from Chris. You know, and I think that is, something that you can't quantify that, you know, because that is influence, you know, and so that, like I said, that's without Chris being there. So now imagine Chris there and the things that you get to learn. Because what we learned in that situation, it was from Chris' perspective in a sense, but it wasn't from Chris, you know, and yet you'll have Chris there to learn from. And so, man, I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to learn from him. I think even in, you know, one thing that, you know, when I look at Chris's career, one thing he's been absolutely incredible at is bringing younger guys along. And that's something that I feel like I can be so much better at. So to have someone like that to learn from, I think is pretty incredible.
Draymond, given Chris's personnel, we know, and everything you've just cited, his impact on this league, where do you fall on the starting lineup question then? I mean, Chris has said something, we don't know what he's going to say today or what he really feels, and we know Steve has said we're going to see what it looks like. You had the best starting five in the league last year. Do you think Chris should be in the conversation to kind of break that up a little bit?
I mean, you know, you said it. We did have the best starting lineup in the league, so you can't ignore that, you know. And yet you can't ignore Chris Paul as Chris Paul. Like, he is very much so Chris Paul. And so you have to take all of that into account. And then once you take all of that into account, I am a basketball player and not a coach. So it's not my job to figure it out. It's not my role. But what I do know is whatever is best for this team is going to happen. And what I do know is in spending time with these guys over the last month and a half and getting together and spending time together, the number one goal from everybody here will be to win. And when that is the number one goal of everyone that walks into this building, everything else you figure it out. And it won't always be my way, it won't always be Steph's way, it won't always be Chris' way, it won't always be Steve's way. Because when the number one goal, when you walk into an arena, when you set out on your journey to do something and the number one goal is winning, it don't always go anyone's particular way. And then you have to sacrifice things. And that's what makes up a team. And so what I can feel with this team already is that everyone who's walking in that door has a dedication to winning. And because of that, everything else that'll happen along the way is just a part of the journey. You figure those things out, but in figuring those things out, you do what's best to reach the end goal. And I have no doubt in my mind that everyone who's here has that goal. And so I have no worries about a starting lineup, about a finishing lineup, about a second unit. I don't have any worries about that because those are all things that's just a part of the journey of what we want to ultimately do.
You mentioned that, this is Maddie Kenny, Mercury News. You mentioned that everyone is on the same page. And last season there was obviously just some disconnect with the team and chemistry was off. How much is that just kind of getting in some new faces, having a more veteran squad compared to the year prior?
I think having veterans definitely help because there's just more of an understanding. You know, I think anything that you do, when you're mixing this amount of experience with this amount of experience, there is a disconnect. You try to do all that you can to lessen that disconnect. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail. And that's just the nature of it. And so I think for us, you bring in more veterans. We are veterans. You bring in more veterans, guess what? You lessen the disconnect. Does not mean you can't, Moses isn't a veteran. Kuminga's still not a veteran. Like Trayce isn't a veteran. BP isn't a veteran. Like, you're still going to have guys that aren't veterans. That's an NBA team. You're always going to have guys that aren't veterans. But I think when you start looking at adding a CP, adding, a Dario, guys who proven veterans in this league, it changes things because ultimately the experience that guys have makes a huge difference in this league. And, that's why guys get better as they go. You figure more things out. You figure schemes out. You figure how to work. You figure all of these things out. And so adding more veterans, I think it shores up things. It lessens the room for error. And I think anything that you do, if you can lessen the room for error in something, you're trying to do that. And I think adding veterans for us helps.
Draymond, Steve said last week that he felt that last year you guys might have come in with your foot off the gas a little bit, having won the championship, short summer, everything. I'm wondering, in retrospect, do you feel that way, and do you feel a different kind of sense of urgency, or, that let's run, your time together, the three of you especially, is, it's shrinking. Do you feel a different sense of urgency this year?
I think anytime you're coming off a championship, your sense of urgency won't be what it will become when you're not coming off a championship. So I don't even get into the space of trying to compare the two because it's just really not a realistic comparison. As a human being, one of the things that we all fight as human beings when we have success is complacency. And it's a natural thing because you work so hard to reach the mountaintop. And when you reach the mountaintop, you can appreciate that. And the time that you spend appreciating it, it's time that you don't spend getting better. It's just a very natural thing. And anything that you do, if you're not spending that time getting better, you're getting worse. And so when you win a championship and you're spending your time appreciating winning that championship, which we all do, which you should do, by the way, because who's working to get to the mountaintop to only not appreciate it, then what's the point of getting there? And you should never get there again because you didn't even appreciate being there. And so I think for us, we reached the mountaintop a couple years ago, and you're coming off that. Your foot isn't on the gas. Small things that you may stop. When you're not on the mountaintop, you let slide. You let those things slide. Small issues become big issues. Sometimes you can correct them, sometimes you can't. And I think for us, and being through this so many times now, we understand that. Last year, the season did not end how we wanted it to end. You're going to come back naturally motivated, even more motivated when that happens, if you're competitors. Well, you don't have the success that we've had if you're not competitors. And so I think for us, it's a natural thing for us to come in more focused this year than we came in last year. I don't really necessarily take that as a knock. Like I said, it's human nature. But I do think it's important, and I can see that everyone comes in locked in, ready to get off to a good start, because that will determine how the rest of our year goes. And so everyone's definitely more focused. And, the way I view it is sometimes you have to lose to win. And last year we lost, and I think it's set us up to put us in better position to win this year.
You're on record saying that you did not like Chris Paul. How has your perspective on that changed since you've been able to work with him, play with him, if at all?
I've had some conversations with him, with Chris over the last couple months that I haven't necessarily had, not only with Chris, but just in my career. Chris, and I've said this before too, on the record, he's one of the smartest guys in this league. When you talk basketball IQ, I've said on record, Chris Paul, LeBron James, Rajon Rondo and Rondo, like I've said that on record a million times. And so, number one, we've had basketball conversations that I've just been excited to have, because in sitting and speaking with a guy with the IQ level of a Chris Paul, for me, like I can get basketball geeky at times. I love the game of basketball. I think one of my best attributes as a basketball player is my IQ. And so, in speaking to a high IQ guy like Chris, for me, that's everything. Like, that's gold. And we've been able to share in those conversations. We've been able to share in a bunch of conversations. We've been collaborative on things, things that you do with teammates. We've been doing. And in doing that, you start to get to know people outside of just what you're doing as far as basketball goes. And, I've started to get to know Chris better. I didn't know Chris at all outside of competing with him. If you've ever watched Chris compete, he's kind of an asshole. You may say the same thing about me, and that's okay. But he's also one of the most competitive guys that, I've played against over my 11 years in this league. I'm also an extremely competitive guy, and I'm not backing down from anyone. He's not backing down from anyone. That will bring some clashes, and it has brought plenty of them. When you look at the last 7, 8 years in the NBA, Chris Paul is right at the center of all of it. And guess what? So are we, and we weren't on teams. If there wasn't any hate, then everybody get to talking like, oh, man, those guys are too friendly, or why are they working out together, this, that, in today's NBA. But then when you have competitors hating each other, then that's like, oh, man, they hate each other. Like, how is that even possible? Well, you got to pick a side. Like, you either want us to be friends and all work out together and everybody accept it, or you want us to hate each other. And in this case, we competed. Like, we're trying to get championships. Chris was trying to get championships. And guess what? When you're competing for that, at the level that we've competed for that sometimes bring hate. Because we're going after the same thing. And that definitely had brought that between us. But look at the runs we were on. Houston was right at the center of that. The Clippers were right at the center of that. And so Phoenix was right at the center of that. So you look at, in the league 11 years, we've been competing on a championship level for 8. He's at the center of 6 of them. Of course there's going to be some animosity, and there was a lot of it. Now, in saying that, we're adults, we're men, and we have an opportunity to go do something special together. Would never let that go by the wayside. And, and just getting to know Chris and seeing how he operates, seeing how he moves, how he carries himself, how he walks in the gym every day. Like, it makes sense of why he is who he is, why he's had the success that he's had. And I'm growing to know that. I'm learning from that. I don't think you're ever too good or done too much to learn from someone. Chris Paul has been in this league, 18 years? Definitely somebody I can learn from. I'm excited about it. We're growing in more facets than one, and it's been an incredible start to it. And I know, like I said, for both of us, the goal is to win. And I know he want to win, as we all know. And my goal is to do all that I can to make sure and help him win. And anything that happened before that, it happened. And it definitely doesn't change our past. Like, us becoming teammates don't change the things that's happened in the past. We have battled, and battle for sure. But I think the part that I'm most excited about is, like, you now get to know the person. And I know for myself, and where I can probably relate to Chris, most people probably hate me that don't know me. I think if you get to know me, you don't necessarily hate me. But if you don't know me, you probably hate me. And Chris definitely got some of that himself. If you don't know him, you probably hate him. You get to know him and you realize there's a competitor and a person. But, it's not always easy to see that when you're in the heat of the battle. When you step outside the heat of the battle, you can separate those two things. And I am thankful to have the opportunity to separate the two things.
Ray, you got time for one more? I just want to ask him about the.
Sorry, Ray. Go ahead, Slay.
Just front court. You guys. There's plenty of conversation of if you guys are big enough. I know you guys brought in, veteran centers, including Dwight. What is your take on the front court, and do you think in this conference you guys have, enough size?
They said we didn't have enough size in 2022, and we won. I've been told I wasn't the right size forever, and I've won. So I'm never going to hear something and be like, they don't have enough size to win, because I can show you where we didn't have enough size and we won. In saying that, I'm not totally against having another big, but, at the end of the day, I think Mike Dunleavy has done an incredible job of filling impossible shoes. You go from Bob Myers, who's come in and had the most success of any general manager, not only for sure in this organization, but more success than probably 98% of general managers in NBA history. And then you're tasked to follow that up. It's impossible shoes to fill. Yet I think Mike is doing an incredible job, and he's transparent, he's upfront, he'll have a conversation. Whether you think that conversation is tough or not, he's showing that he's willing to have those conversations, and he's doing the job. So it's not when someone comes in and is doing the job like Mike, the number one thing that Mike has to do is come in and create trust. And every move that he's been making, and moves that he hasn't making, but communicating with us and making sure we're in the know, that we know certain things, I think is incredible. I think he's doing an incredible job. And so just to get back to your main question, which is, do I think we need a big? I don't think we need anything. I think anything we need, we got right here. Would a big be beneficial for us? I don't see it hurting us. I think it definitely could add a benefit. Lakers are huge, right? Like, that's who we lost to. So if you look at someone, you're like, all right, this is who we lost to. Where do we need to improve? Probably need a little more size. Doesn't mean we're necessarily going to lose again if we don't get the size, but it may help. So we'll see where it goes. But Mike's got my support 100%. And I think he's been a pleasure to work with, even in my deal, and going through that with Mike and different things. It was incredible. And so he got my support. And whatever he does, and I'm going to support that. And I'm going to do my job as a player to, if I feel, oh, man, we could have had more size. I can affect that, right? Like, and I ain't talking about us signing. I can affect the outcome. And so I'd rather focus my time on affecting the outcome than focus my time affecting on who comes. That ain't my job. So, pause. Y'all have a good one. I'm out.
Hey, Klay. Dalton Johnson, NBC Sports Bay Area. You know, how important was it for you to have a summer of pickup and work with trainers like Chris Brickley and other guys as well?
It was great. Got to play some ball and just have fun while doing it. And that's always what we love to do as basketball players is play pickup and sharpen our skills. And when you have time off, you make the most of it. That's what I did.
Hey, Klay, good seeing you again. How much of a challenge is it going to be this year? Obviously, everybody gets a year older. You guys have some even more veteran guys this year with Rudy Gay and Chris Paul and kind of a revamped roster. But knowing that you guys had a quicker offseason than when you guys won the title, how much more does that give you guys motivation for this year to build on what you guys did last year?
Well, you have as many veterans as we do. It makes it easy for everybody to be on the same page, and then to integrate the young guys will be easier to transition to because we got so many great leaders and guys who have experienced a decade plus in this league, and we're all very hungry to have great success this year, and we don't bring in guys, or the front office doesn't bring in guys who don't share that same passion. So I'm really excited to get going tomorrow.
Just a really quick one. Do you, with the Bahamas going to a pre-qualifier tournament, would that be something that you would want to? Would you want to go to the Olympics for the Bahamas if they were to make it?
That'd be cool, because my dad never got the opportunity, and the Bahamas is a place where my story cannot be told without it, and it's dear to my heart. So, yeah, that would be sweet.
You and Steve are both on expiring deals, specifically with your situation. Do you feel like an extension is possible in the next, month or so? And if not, just how do you kind of feel as you look towards the future?
I think it's possible. And if not, life is still great. Like, I'm playing basketball in my 13th year in the NBA. So I have no complaints for whatever the future has in store. Like, done so many great things in this uniform, and I know there are many more memories to create. So whatever happens, life is great. I can't really complain. I've had an incredible run here, and I look forward to making more great memories with the guys.
Hi, Klay. Nice to see you.
Hey, you too.
Chris Paul was saying that you were guarding him recently, and he said, we don't do this no more. I mean, now that you're teammates, what's it like? You guys have had a lot of battles over a decade or more. What's it like now to have him on your side?
It's crazy. I mean, Chris has been on our way of winning for so many years, and now to be on the same team with him, it's just a huge honor for myself, especially playing the two-guard spot. You love playing with a point guard like Chris, who's one of the greatest assist man in basketball history. I know he's going to get me so many easy opportunities this year, but I think he's going to help us so much, especially from a leadership standpoint. We know what he's capable of on the court. Obviously, he has 20 and 10 nightly, but his ability to lead and guide these young guys and myself as well is what's going to really stand out, I feel like.
Hey, Klay. Outside of playing pickup, what were some of your highlights, this summer? What were some of your favorite memories?
Some of my favorite memories. Well, I was fortunate enough to go back to China and the Philippines with Anta, and to see how many fans we really have over there is always humbling and inspiring. because when I was a kid and I was in love with this game, I would have never thought that I would have the chance to inspire people across the globe. And now that I'm here able to do it, that's what keeps me going. And I just can't believe that there's people around the world who watch us, who stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or start time is that, and they are dedicated to our season. And I got to see that again this past summer when I went with Anta, and it was really special. It was just really cool to connect with the fans in China and the Philippines, and I gained so much motivation from that trip.
Hey, Klay, I'm assuming you didn't know Chris real well before he got here. Have you had the experience when you've been scrimmaging with him or just talking to him that, hey, mate, this guy's a nicer guy than I thought, or he's funnier than I thought, or has he's been what you thought?
He's been what I thought. I mean, he's always been a great guy. I mean, when you're on the court between the lines, you obviously don't like each other because we stand in the way of what we want, but he was the president of the Players Association, and he did such wonderful things for us as players. And Chris is just a great family man as well, and to be able to be his shooting guard and have Steph and Chris Paul as your point guards, that's a crazy thought because those are two of the better point guards in basketball history.
Hey, Klay. Colin Ward, Henninger, CBS Sports. Towards the end of last season, you talked about having conversations with Coach Kerr about becoming a more complete player, rebounding, doing other things like that. How do you think you continued those steps in terms of your workouts this offseason, in terms of becoming a more complete player?
Wow. It's a good question. I would say just trying to focus on little details. You know, I'm so in love with scoring the ball and shooting. Sometimes it's equally as fun getting a stop, getting a good rebound, making an assist, the simple plays. So when I was hooping this summer, I just tried to focus on doing the things that allow the team to win, whether that's hitting the open man, taking the open shot, playing defense, and not being so pressed like to have to score for my team to win, just to try and be a complete cerebral player. And I thought I did that well, and hopefully it shows this season.
Klay, Chris Alvarez from ABC7 back here. You talked about last year how you will get back to being an all-star player. What would it mean for you to get back to the all-star game this year and have a couple more under your belt before you leave?
That'd be awesome. It's a goal of mine, and I think it's attainable. It's just how hard I want to work and how ready I'll be opening night. So it's up to me, and I'm not going to lie to you. It is a goal of mine. It's always an honor to play in the all-star game when you get used to it, and then you don't go for a while. You kind of feel left out. So I would love to be in I think it's in Indianapolis this year. I would love to be there.
Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. I go back, Klay, to when Mark Jackson was a coach here, and he used to always say about you that you're not low maintenance, you're no maintenance. And he talked about how you and Steph are able to push each other with your work ethic and in practice and so forth. Let's talk a little bit about how you and Steph have been together for so long and what you guys can do for each other and how you guys have evolved over the years.
Well, I love playing for Mark. Mark was a great motivator. He has so many great stories of when he played, whether it was against Kobe, whether against Michael Jordan, whether against Shaq or Kareem. Mark played in an era where you had to be tough. You know, there was no nights off back then. I don't think flagrant fouls were the same as they are now. So I enjoyed those days. And as far as with Steph, I mean, that's all I know is Steph is my point guard, and I've been lucky enough to see his work ethic, and we were able to get in the gym this summer together. I know I let him down on the golf course, so I'll try and pick up the slack and have a great shooting season. That's the only way I can really make up for it.
That's part of the answer about the All-Star game. You said, depends on how ready you'll be opening night. Where does your game feel at this time now compared to this time last year?
I feel awesome. I feel like I can do anything with the ball in my hands, and I think that's the confidence you have to have if you want to be great. You can't let people dictate what you are anymore. You got to believe in yourself, and I believe myself to be a all-star caliber player.
Does that, I know some of the talk about last year was you feel like you weren't quite as ready for the season, and I guess that's kind of what I'm asking is do you feel a lot more physically ready for the season?
Oh, yeah. I've been training every day and playing a lot of pickup and just having fun while doing it, and I'll be ready. And this preseason will be great to prepare for that as well. So I'm really excited. I mean, I'm excited just to hoop tomorrow. Like, one benefit, obviously, when you lose and you don't go to the finals is extended time off, and that, I think, pays huge dividends mentally because playing the championship every season, it feels like just one big overall season. And this year we had a real break to really rejuvenate. Great. Nice.
All right, Steph, what is it really like to see Chris Paul, to be scrimmaging with him, to be talking to him on the phone as a teammate, to have him here? Does it hit you that this is a real thing yet, or has it all kind of sunk in that he's here?
Yeah, it's sunk in for sure. We got through all the pleasantries in the summer. We got together multiple times with the whole team. Definitely is weird. Obviously, you go through battles for years, and you kind of acknowledge the awkwardness of it at first, but the fact that, you know, he is who he is in terms of, you know, his career, the way that he's competed at the highest level for so long, the fact that he's motivated to, you know, help us do what we need to do this year, the way that he's approached everything has been awesome. So there's probably still be moments when you get closer to, you know, the games and regular season where see him out there and it's like, oh yeah, he's with us. But I think the bigger picture is that he's approaching everything the right way, and excited to have him. Excited to see what changes and ways we can adapt to him in the lineup, and, you know, different rotations that we can put out there. So he just knows how to play basketball. We know that, and excited to put it together.
Steph, over here, Connor Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. How does Klay look to you this summer, and how do you kind of feel about where he's at entering the season?
He looks great. I know it's mostly just comparing to his experience last summer, and I think it's night and day different. Even the way he's talking about, the way he approached it, and the progress that he's gone through this year, or this off season, the confidence he has in himself and his body to hit the ground running. Even starting tomorrow in practice and leading through training camp and preseason. So it's always a great sign when he's locked in mentally and physically, and, you know, to take advantage of the off season. It's hard work. Like, it's a lot of reps and a lot of, you know, commitment to the unglamorous stuff that we have to do in the off season to prepare your body, and the fact that he's, you know, speaking that game and saying he put the time in, and it's showing in the way that we've seen him on the court. It makes a big difference.
Hey, Steph, to your, I guess, left. Have you ever played with a point guard like Chris, and just what do you think that playing alongside him is going to do for you?
I mean, now, Jason Richards back at Davis in college was like the first point guard that I got to play with that was like kind of pass first and a playmaker, distributor, and I played off of him. That was just my first years in college, and then I was a go-to point ever since. So I never really had a guy that necessarily was with CP's skill set and the way that he's elevated teams throughout his whole career. But the beauty in the way that me and Klay can play off the ball, and we had Jared Jack for a while in the sense of he had the ball in his hands a lot, but obviously CP's, you know, a Hall of Famer. We know just the talent that he is. It will give us different looks, and it should be pretty easy to, whether it's from whatever lineup you're out there with, or from possession to possession, who's initiating the offense, for us to kind of work off of each other. Because in theory, again, we all understand the game and know spacing and know how to cut, how to play off of each other. Obviously, our skill set to be able to shoot will open up hopefully a lot of lanes. You know, and we got to figure it out defensively and how we want to, you know, match up and all those type of things. But it should be a good challenge.
Hey, Steph. Colin Ward-Henninger, CBS Sports. You've obviously been through a lot of NBA off seasons. Are you a guy that likes to find one routine and kind of stick with it because it works, or do you like to change things up to keep it fresh over the summer?
It's a little bit of both. Change of scenery is always nice. I have my guys that I work out with, and I have for over a decade. So you evolve in terms of your strategy and what you're trying to accomplish. I think the deeper you get into your career, you realize you have to do a lot more a little bit often, if that makes sense, in terms of I didn't take too much time off after the Lakers series, but it's not like you're killing yourself every day, 7-hour, 8-hour days. It's mostly just trying to stay as consistent as possible so that you never really get out of shape. You kind of just always stay prime but still find ways to get rest. But it's nice to shock the system a little bit with trying new things and new approaches to your on-court workouts, stuff that you do in the weight room, to see, you know what your bread and butter is or what works in terms of your routine, but you kind of have to listen to your body too to know what it needs. And that's the challenge of trying to extend your prime for as long as you can, and being honest with yourself about what work needs to go into your routine to prepare yourself for a season.
One quick one, and then a Warriors one. I think LeBron and KD today committed to the Olympics. I know sounds like you were part of those conversations at least at some point in the summer. Are you ready, to commit to the Olympics yet, or do you know?
I've talked to some people about the opportunity, and definitely if all things stay the same, I want to be playing. It's the one thing I haven't done, and I also understand the opportunity for Team USA to kind of reassert yourselves as dominant in the world and all that type of stuff. So definitely want to be there. Definitely want to be on the team, and hopefully things line up that way where we're all there.
And then Warriors-wise, just you guys, it wasn't a full roster reconstruction this summer, but obviously you guys tweaked around the edges. And Chris, just what are your general thoughts on what you guys are bringing this year?
I mean, there's always excitement because as players, that's what we control, is the ability to have confidence in yourselves and what who's in the locker room and what we all bring, and the fact that we all can complement each other, and that confidence I think goes a long way. We have a certain way of playing that we know has led to success, and we want to continue to double down on that. But I think we're all in the position to know we have a lot to figure out in terms of what those new looks, like CP, what Dario brings, Cory Joseph, guys that have been around the league for a long time and, again, are veterans, know how to play, true professionals, how we all gel and what that, chemistry looks like when it comes to actually, in between the lines. So training camp, we say it every year, and for different reasons. This year is just because we have new faces that are going to be important pieces to our actual rotation on a nightly basis. But training camp is going to be huge for us to make sure we're giving ourselves a good chance to get off to a great start. Because compared to last year, that was a big thing, a big hurdle to overcome. Our road woes that we had to start the season, and the difference between being 18-2 2 years ago and where we were last year. We like that the former experience a little bit better.
Hey, Steph, Dalton Johnson, NBC Sports Bay Area. Otto Porter Jr. was such an important piece for you guys 2 years ago. Can you see Dario having a similar impact, and what might excite you the most about playing with Dario?
I mean, they're two different guys, and I don't ever I hate the comparison, but that is a role that you need in terms of a guy that can space the floor, a guy that can obviously knock down open shots. He presents a bit of size for us as well. And he also just, again, he knows how to play in kind of a motion-style offense. He's doing it a little bit in his international play this summer, but even back in Phoenix when he was there with CP, talked to him about the way that he sees the game. It's very similar to the way that we play. So we were playing pickup the other day, and somebody threw him the ball, and he did an immediate DHO with me, and I didn't have to say anything, and it was like one of those pieces of just playing good basketball that he figured out and knows without having, you have to tell him. So that's a good head start on a role that we really need, because he understands, just how to play. And when you can shoot and you know how to play, and you feel a positional need for us, that's huge for us.
Steph, Chris Alvarez from ABC7 back here. Chris Paul.
Congratulations, brother.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Chris just joked that he saw himself in the Warriors uniform for the first time during a State Farm commercial.
He did. He said what?
He said he the first time he put the Warriors uniform on was in a State Farm commercial.
Oh, is that why he was in the neighborhood, that street? I was trying to figure it out too. I'm like, where is he at? Okay, it makes sense now.
Real quick, it's more about you, but real quick, what do you think of him in that uniform?
He looks good.
Yeah.
He looks good. I like it as opposed to the opposition for sure.
That all being said, you've played your whole career in one uniform. How important, you love history of the game, how important is it for you to have done everything in a Warriors uniform and continue and finish as a Warrior for life, hopefully with Draymond and Klay as you guys keep going for championships?
I've said it before. It means everything. I'm in my 15th year. No need for a change of scenery at this point. So just a matter of, like you said, being in a position where you can – it's not a ceremonial thing. It's we're really here to win, and I'm doing everything I can to continue to be a leader on that front, perform at a high level, and put ourselves in a position to – be championship contenders. You know, you can't control everything. You can't guarantee anything in this league, and every team's trying to, get better, and that's the nature of the competition. But if I can keep doing that every year and, like you said, still represent this organization, all that we've built, it's a dream come true.
Hey, Steph. It's Felicia Purcell for Sports in the Bay. I was curious what sparked your interest in the Mac Dre documentary, and secondly, can you talk about some of your favorite moments, not family involved, over the summer that you enjoyed the most? Because I saw you on Hot Ones, I saw you in Toby's video. I mean, you were really busy. So back to the Mac Dre question first.
I mean, having played in Oakland for 10 years and understood the history of that city, obviously from the music industry, the rap game, the culture that exists there. Mac Dre's story is a special one. It kind of embodies a lot of what the spirit of Oakland is. Obviously, I never met him, but things that we're doing in the media space to be able to tell the stories that need to be told and be a part of projects that speak to individuals that change the game. That is what I'm about. So we're just given a platform to hopefully tell his story in the most meaningful, impactful way with his family, everybody that knew him, worked with him, people that were influenced by him. So creating that platform and that opportunity for that story to be told. It was an easy one, and I know looking forward to the project whenever it's ready to come out. And the summer was special, kind of in the same vein. Basketball's opened a lot of doors, and I had some amazing experiences on the golf course with family, traveling, all that, all the while, making sure I'm preparing for this season. So a lot of it is kind of exposed for the world. Some of it wasn't, but I had a lot of fun, and summer's over now.
Steph, obviously, Draymond signs the extension. He's going to be here for a long time. You're going to under contract for a long time. But Steve and Klay are both entering their final years. I know there's been a lot of confidence expressed that they will be here. But how important is it to you to see those guys sign for long term? Relatively soon.
So obviously, if it was my decision, they'd be here forever. Like, that's part of what we've built and what confidence that we have of what's ahead of us. So I know how the business works, and timing of everything matters. Contracts, negotiations, and conversations can get a little murky at times, but I think at the end of the day, take Draymond's situation, for example. How many different narratives came out of that for the last 2 years of what was going to happen with him and where he was going to be, and is this his last year and all that. Try not to get too caught up in the day-to-day of that, and just understand how much he means to this organization, and thankfully he got it done. I hope the same and know the same will happen with Steve and with Klay. But again, I would say our job is to go out and make that an easy decision. And so that's what we're about.
Steph, over here. Draymond said that there's a different sense of urgency in an offseason after a championship year versus a non-championship year. How did you feel that sense of urgency heading into this offseason, or a difference in urgency?
You have 4 extra weeks to work with, and you're watching basketball, and you're not used to that. Usually, if you're in the finals and however it plays out, that's the end of it. And when you're watching it, it just gives you a different motivation and different fuel to the fire. I mean, to me, that's really all you really need. That's the start of the journey of, okay, well, how are you approaching this off season? What's the goal? Not just individually, how you're preparing yourself mentally and physically, but as a team, like how are we making the most of the time? We got together 3 times, I think, this summer as a group. Played pickup, hung out, tried to create a bond that can transition into training camp and the rest of the season. And hopefully that makes a difference with how we start the year. But trying to do everything you can to control the controllables, if you will, on what will put us in a position to be successful this year, and knowing what we do is hard. There's a high expectation standard that we've set over the course of these years, and we have to continue to try to live up to it.
Hey, Steph. Damon Bruce in the back. How you doing, man? Congratulations on the hole-in-one.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Callaway's worked for you in Dubai?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a little muggy, but we got it done.
Incorporating rookies has been a challenge playing with the style of the Warriors. Can you tell us a little bit about how you'll help Brandin Podziemski and Trayce Jackson-Davis find minutes this year to help you guys out?
The message is always like, your opportunities, you don't know when they're going to come, and to be in a position where you can be prepared for that opportunity and understand what impacts winning basketball. Like, it's a hard lesson to learn as a young guy, because you have a certain way of, a certain style of play maybe that got you to this point. You have a certain way of seeing the game that you're comfortable with, but you might be asked to do something entirely different. Podziemski was a go-to scorer and kind of Mr. Do-It-All for Santa Clara last year. He might be just asked to, lock up 94 feet and just turn a guy, 4 or 5 times for 2 to 3 minutes a game, or he might be asked to do more. He might be asked to, show up in practice and challenge us to, get better. Like, whatever he's asked to do, you have to be able to respond to that. And it's not glamorous at times. It's not easy, but it sets you up for the next stage of increasing your role. And if you buy into it, and coach is very straightforward when it comes to that, that's the situation. And then the league will reward you in the long run. So hopefully, whatever that is, they can buy into it and understand it will help us win. And when we win, everybody wins.
Stephen, how you doing?
What's up, Monty?
Yeah. Draymond was in here earlier, and he was talking about how, Chris is one of those guys that on the other team, he's one of the hated guys on the other team. On this team, he's the hated guy. You got 2 of those guys on one team now. Can that work in a positive way for the team's general intensity over the course of a season, having 2 guys that bring it like that?
For sure. It'll help us internally, understanding, like, the vibe in practice, the sense of accountability, like, let's make sure all the energy is put towards winning. And then if those 2 guys can focus that energy on the court when it comes to games on doing exactly that, like making everybody hate them but making us love them, like, I know that they can, keep each other accountable to that energy as well. Like, that's going to make a huge difference and give them an edge and give us an edge. So the one thing is, I know they've been pretty open about talking about it to each other, like how they're going to try to help each other out in that front, because neither one of them is not going to stop talking. So that's a good thing as long as it's channeled in the right direction.
The other question I have is, you had a relatively long offseason compared to previous off seasons. How do you balance training, doing what you want to do away from training, and not overtraining? How do you find that balance?
Experience helps, just because you know how to listen to your body and I think the first thing is you just need a strategy going in, and it's not just me looking at a piece of paper, looking at the calendar, saying this is what I need to do. I have some experts in the fields that can kind of guide you in terms of what boxes need to be checked throughout the off season, so that you do exactly what you just said. Know you're prepared, but don't need to feel like you're in the gym, 8 hours a day, which might have some diminished returns on that front. So it's a little bit of both, of understanding what you're trying to get out of the summer, and talking to the right people to help design what that looks like, and then staying accountable to that process throughout the summer, knowing those are the hardest moments when you get a little bit further away from the season, but so far away from when training camp starts. Those days, middle of July, August, are hard because it kind of gets a little monotonous, and the distractions of the fun of the summer can kind of creep in too. So you kind of have to have the balance of everything.
Hi, Steph. Do you feel like a youngin' with two teammates now in their late 30s? A little bit?
Wait, who's the CP and who? Oh, Rudy. That's right. Two guys that I've known for a very long time, and I've never seen them as they've been older, bro, but never seen them like that. So it's kind of weird. I've known both of them since I was in high school, so it's gonna be fun to fight Father Time for as long as we can, but not talk about it too much because we still feel young.
But and Rudy, what can Rudy do for Kuminga, and what kind of opportunities do you see for Kuminga, going into this season, and maybe being able to lean on Rudy's experience a little bit?
I think JK is going to help himself by doing everything he knows he needs to do. There's no secret anymore. It's just, going out and competing at a high level, using his athleticism, his understanding of the game, and what these last 3 years have shown him to say, okay, it's time for me to take that next step. There's going to be opportunity for him. Like, there's a lot of, guys, Rudy, what he learned from Andre last year, the last 2 years, you go down the list in our locker room, he could find something to pick from anybody in terms of perspective, but all that matters is him going out, having confidence in himself. He's put in a lot of work this summer. Super excited for him to come in and find his way and do it consistently. And I know everybody has confidence in him to do that. So it's not just on one person for him to tap into. It's for him to kind of just step into his role and do it to the best of his ability.